This is Herald of Darkness.
The Herald of Darkness. Show me him. Show me him. You can't. Bet you can't. You don't got what it takes. Sure don't. Sure don't. How is everybody? How is everybody? I've had a busy morning, tell you what. Busy morning. My lovely wife, she is like a tire assassin for cars. We have two cars. And the car she mainly drives got a nail in the tire. It happens. Okay, it happens. So we got to take that into the tire shop. And thankfully we got the tires replaced not that long ago because she also popped another one of the tires. So there's a thread here, common trend. So we like the tires were under warranty, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So we took it back in, and this shop is great. They just patched it, no problem. Didn't even charge us a penny. You know, it was great. But she was driving our second car yesterday and just curb stomped the teeth off of a curb. I mean, she just like went pow. Right into it. And we've all done it. Like, we have all done it where you just clip a curb, and it's one of those sharp ones in a shopping center, and so it just wrecks your tire. And you know, it was one of those where like you hit it and it's right at the point where it curves, and the whole car like skids to the side because it just like so it took like a pretty sizable chunk of rubber off the side of the front right tire. And like it's holding pressure, and it's like we were able to get home and it was fine. But it was like, this is not a car I would want to willingly take on the highway. You know, like if it pops, it's going to pop completely. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, it's starting to lose pressure. Like, no, when this thing goes, it's going to explode. So I took that car into the shop this morning, and the dude looked at it and was like, when a tire shop employee looks, he goes, holy shit. you know is a good one. So that one is not covered under warranty. That's going to be like $800 because they have to replace the front two tires, and apparently it needs specialty tires or some crap. It's just a couple of headaches, but that's just what happens. It's what happens. Tires and cars are crazy. I had a buddy though. Let me know in chat, okay, if my friend is crazy. We live in Colorado. Yeah, that's a PS5 Pro. Exactly. Just under. I have a buddy. He has like 3 different sets of tires for his car. And we live in Colorado. It's snowy here. But he has like 3 different ones that he swaps out at different times of the year. And like, I've heard of people, you know, I know people that do winter tires. That's totally fine. You want snow tires, you know, that makes sense. And then swap them out when you hit summertime. That makes sense. But like 3 separate sets of tires. His garage is like half tires. Like, why? There is no way that he can tell the difference, right? Like, there is no way that he can truly tell the difference. Like, even if it's a matter of gas, like fuel economy, which is one thing I've heard, you know, you swap tires and it gets you better fuel economy on the highway or something. There's no way he's saving money compared to like having 4 separate tires, you know? Like, what are we doing? Definitely a car guy. Yeah, I guess. That's the thing I always have to remember is I look at that and I'm like, that's crazy. But then people will look at this and be like, that's crazy. They're like, yeah, I got tires to drive my car with. You have a Lego Titanic ship. I'm like, okay, maybe I can't say anything. Maybe I can't actually say anything. Maybe I'm part of the problem. You know, it's the same thing like the guys that go super hard into golf. Dude, if you've never gone hard into golf, like what's that Tiger Woods TaylorMade clubs? The website's like busted. These things, come on. Is this it? Stiff Select Loft? I don't know, 56. They don't, okay, they do show you the price. These aren't even the ones I was thinking of. The blades that Tyler Woods plays on are like crazy, like thousands to swap into them. Yeah, like these. Some people go crazy into golf with like spending $700 for a driver, like almost a PS5 Pro. Did I say Tyler Woods? Did I really say Tyler? I meant Tiger. Dude, that's crazy. Did I really say Tyler? That's freaking hilarious. That's funny. I need to chug some caffeine. My God. Tyler Woods. The well-known golf player, Tyler Woods. Jesus Christ. Tyler is his brother. The sober one. Too soon? Too soon? I don't know. I feel like if you're a billionaire and you are a repeat offender of drunk driving, we get to make fun of you. Fair. Fair. I feel like at that point, I'm giving you a thumbs down, frankly. Yeah, I think it was pills. That apparently is it. But that's still under the influence, you know, whether it's booze or pills. Yeah, I guess I said drunk driving. Driving under the influence. It seems like it was probably some medication or something. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, these things, look at these irons are like $1,400. Dude, we went golfing at little cheat code for you. If you've ever been interested in going and playing golf at a nice place, wear like a nice outfit and go to your local country club and tell them I'm new to the area. I'm looking at networking. I'm in sales, so I need to meet clients regularly, and we do it over golf. So I'd like to tour your and try, you know, your course and see if this would be a good fit. And then if it is, then, you know, I'll sign up and I can bring guests here and stuff. And they'll let you play like a full 18 holes on the country club course. Some of them are more strict and will make you like, you have to be invited in. But if you go to like a lot of smaller country clubs, you can do that. And so I got the chance to play at like the Fort Collins Country Club and then one of the ones in Denver. And they're very, very nice. But when we went, dude, the people that we got paired with, it was like very, very rich, fresh retirees. Like the dude had worked in manufacturing for ages, made a ton of money. And he thought that all you needed to do to be good at golf was to buy the $1,400 irons and to buy the $700, you know, driver and to buy the fancy golf cart. And so he had like the cream of the crop stuff. But bro, it was like rough. It was rough. Really, really, really rough watching him just fight for his life. Having very close to no clue what he was doing. And it's okay to play golf and not know what you're doing. But if you spend thousands on golf equipment and you have no idea what you're doing, I get to chuckle. Okay. Them's the rules. Okay. Same with amateur tennis players. I've heard of that too. One of my buddies in high school, Isaac, he was really, really into tennis and really good at it too. Dude was good at everything. He was one of those guys where he just like, it must be so easy, you know? So easy. Because he would like get to class. I've told you guys the story before, but like he would get, or to school rather, at like 7, because his dad was a teacher. Class starts at 7:30 and he'd be like, I forgot, we have a paper due today. I totally forgot. And then he would pull out, iPod Touches were like all the rage at the time. And he pulled out his iPod Touch and he typed up his entire paper sitting in front of his locker in like 10 minutes, printed it on one of the school printers, and he got an A+. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It was crazy. Everything was so easy for him. He was really good at tennis. Haven't kept up with him though. He left for mission to be a Mormon missionary. He left for mission right after high school, disappeared for a few years. And now like he got back within a few weeks, was married, pumping out kids, you know, the Mormon way. I wonder what he's up to. Anyway, Twitch is skipping frames. YouTube is fine. Really interesting. Okay, I'll see if it stabilizes. I do see some rockiness on Twitch. I'll see if it stabilizes here in a second. Let me know, guys, on Twitch if it stabilizes. Real quick, not lock? Is that what it is? Not lock? I need like those big glasses for stream because my stream like activity is always small. It's not small, it's average. Thank you for the 20. I'm struggling to get Crimson Desert. I know the story's not good and it's fine, but the reason I like Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring is because they have in-depth environmental storytelling. Does Crimson Desert have it? Yes, especially later areas. There's a ton of that. It is unfortunate that for so many people you have to really kind of put in a bit of the grind to get there. You know, everybody says after chapter 2, after chapter 3, it gets way better. And I think it's at that point where you've like fully given yourself over to it, you know, where it'll help. But I think that that's the key is to just get there. But I think it's backed up by the data. I mean, they're hitting new all-time concurrent player peaks, which, what did I say? I would say, I hate to say I told you so, but I love it. I predicted. Can I pull up the video? Hold on. Let me see. Let me take a look right over here. Right over here. Also, again, shout out to the community. We raised $1,100 for the NCMEC, which is amazing. $1,100. That's fantastic. Thank you, everybody. But let me pull this up with my predictions. Yeah. Okay, here it is. This is my video from the 25th. Okay, so before it hit the new player concurrent peak, whatever. If you don't know, they reached a new like all-time player peak on Sunday. And this was my prediction on the 25th. And players just on Steam, and I wouldn't be surprised if they hit another all-time peak this weekend as word of mouth continues to spin and spin. As you can see, the reviews have also skyrocketed up significantly. They were like fully mixed when the game first launched due to like performance issues or due to controls and some stuff like that they've already fixed or addressed. And now the player peak has hit again, and they've also seen the Metacritic score or the user score on Metacritic climb even higher. Now it's at 8.8, and it's climbing even higher. Like it could be in the 90s for user scores before long, which is wild. I mean, it really is the ultimate like nobody cares what IGN thinks game, which is pretty freaking hilarious. Especially because so many of them crashed TF out when people started calling them out for like, I didn't really do anything in the game, and then the bosses were hard. The game is just bad. It's like, bro, you are unironically echoing the same like talking points as like DSP, but unironically, like, what are we doing? Yeah, the stamina spend debuff, decrease, whatever, that they just added to gliding really helps. I agree. Movement helps. Really helps. I pretty much just buy games that IGN hates, batting 1,000 so far. Dude, literally, it's like, if you're not involved with finance, you may not know this, but there is a guy that you've probably seen, you know, over the years, but his name is Jim Cramer. And Jim Cramer, he's this guy. He runs like Mad Money, which is a show that does like financial coverage and stuff like that. And he is, by all accounts, as far as I know, like a nice guy. He's just got a show that where he, you know, he presses the big buttons and it sends off sirens and stuff. Well, he has a well-known track record of just being wrong. And so he'll tell you to buy this, and right as he tells you to buy it, it crashes. He'll tell you to like sell this, and the moment he tells you to sell it, it skyrockets, you know? So there's an actual ETF people have developed where they just track whatever he says to do, and then they do the opposite. And some of those, because there's different ones, obviously there's some claims that he'll make where like maybe they skip over that, or he says, I think right now you should consider selling, and they'll consider that to be a sell recommendation, even though he's not really saying it. So it's not foolproof. Okay. It's not foolproof, but the meme is there that if you do the opposite of what Kramer says, you'll make more money than if you, than if you do what he says, which is kind of hilarious. And so it's almost like with a lot of these big gaming outlets, it's the same thing. It's like the inverse IGN, you know, where you just do the opposite of whatever they say and you have a great time. You know, that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Let me see. Let me catch up on these real quick. Thank you guys. Silver Lightning. Thank you. Back to square 2 years. Yeah, buddy. Gamer engineers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the membership. Obi-Juan just became a member for 1 month at the no one should choose this tier. Bro, that's outrageous. Thank you. Very, very generous. Pogs in chat for Obi-Wan. Pogs in chat. That gets you 1 moment of silence and 2 dabs. Okay. And then a dab. There you go. That's what you get. Boom, boom. Yeah, exactly. Chevy, thank you for the 2. Not the candle. Always the candle. Never give up on the candle. The candle is forever. The candle is life. Rye Hill Chibbles. I am so sorry. I definitely screwed up whatever that was. Yeah, about the Twitch skipping stuff. Hopefully it stabilizes. Twitch has been all over the place recently. I'll tell you what. Wawa Wookie, thank you for the 10. Need to make you do the camp missions. It's basically the tutorial introduces you to most or almost all of the mechanics in the game. Yes, it does. And I think with Crimson Desert, it really is. And I mentioned this in my initial review. The devs have talked about how they built it to be a community single-player game, a community-driven single-player game, which sounds weird. But basically what that means is that they want you to like go on social media and see something like this. And to immediately go, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. Okay, like they want you to see these clips that are going viral and to get that curiosity where you go and like want to seek it out, you know? That's what they're hoping for. And so it's one of these games that's driven in part in the same way by the same like mechanisms that drive a lot of like MMOs, which is often like purely about curiosity. It's about word of mouth. And that's where it has really, really, truly excelled. I've heard other people compare Crimson Desert to like, it's the first time they've felt this feeling with a massive game since like Elden Ring or since Skyrim. For some people, like the combat in Elden Ring was a barriered entry, and so they didn't experience that. And so the last time they really had this open-ended, vast adventure before them was like Skyrim way back in the day, and they're getting into it. And I will say it has pierced the mainstream veil in a pretty significant way. I've had people that like just the other day, like when we destroyed the car tire, when we were out and about, I got approached by somebody and they're like, yeah, I recognize you. I saw your preview video and then your review of Crimson Desert. They're like, I used to play games all the time back in high school. And then I kind of fell off of it with like my work and career and everything. But I saw Crimson Desert. It was really interesting to me, and it's got me back in. I just invested in my whole setup. He's like, I just got a PS5, thank God. It was like genuinely cool. But that's what I think has happened with a lot of people, is that it's just that sense of unbridled exploration has been really, really exciting. It just goes to show YouTubers make or break games way more than legacy journalists. I think... well, I think so. I mean, it used to be the case where it was just assumed if a game gets a bad Metacritic score, and I mean, 77 is, or 78, whatever it is not bad. That is considered mostly positive, I think is the official title for that score. So it's mostly positive. It's not a bad score. But it was for a long time just assumed if you were not, at least in the 80s, like your game is not going to pop off in that way. But they kind of proved that nobody really gives a crap what IGN thinks. And the more that IGN started, and not IGN specifically, but also just gaming journalists in general, they got really defensive over their scores. And then the sort of narrative shifted from are their critiques like truly valid, or are they just crashing out because the game didn't hold their hand or whatever else? And so that then became the narrative. And then, Crimson Desert's devs, Pearl Abyss, to their credit, have been pulling all-nighters, pumping out updates at a ridiculously fast pace to get things working. Like literally I saw just the other night, there was an issue where they issued a patch and it broke one specific thing. I think it was like when you would summon your horse, he wouldn't follow you anymore. They issued that, they updated that was working in a patch where you'd summon the horse and then he would come right up to you and then you'd hop on, whereas before he just kind of spawned nearby. But then they issued this patch late at night and it kind of broke that. The horse would go back to just being summoned and standing there. By the time people realized this was a thing, they posted it to social media, and literally no more than 10 minutes later, they already had a hot fix go out to fix it. Like 10 minutes. I told you guys in the review period that when I was reviewing the game, I had an update go out that made it so I couldn't boot the game. So I pinged them and I said, hey, I'm running into this problem. And it was like 34 minutes later or something like that they issued the update and fixed it. Like they are just built different. Like there's no other way to really say it. It's just different. And I think it's because their process is built around MMOs. So they're used to working on a very tight timeline very quickly. They turn things over super, super fast. Their engine is built to do things really, really quickly. And you're seeing the benefits of it. And it makes it look ridiculous when you compare it to some of these other studios where they issue an update, it breaks something, and like, I point to Bethesda because they're the most ridiculous example of it, but like literally they broke VATS in Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition and did not fix it for 19 months. 19 months. Like, can you even begin to fathom the gap? Pearl Abyss, 34 minutes. BGS, it would take them a year and a half. Like no joke, unironically, that's how fast they're doing things. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, but it's borne out by what we can see. It's like absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let me see over on Twitch. Zato, thank you for the sub with Prime. Appreciate you. Thank you. Phantom, thank you for the bits. Thank you, Luke. I switched to controller for Crimson Desert, although I'm a diehard mouse and keyboard player. Wow, is playing Crimson Desert way easier with a controller. Good suggestion. Told you. I mean, it's clear that's where most of the effort went during development. And isn't it funny, like at this point, the stories from like 2 years ago where PlayStation was trying to get Crimson Desert as an exclusive, a timed exclusive for a bit, and they turned them down. But that might also be why they put a lot of effort into the controller scheme, because they saw that like Sony and console players would be interested in this, and so they put a lot of effort into that. I'd be interested in what the split is. Like how many of the players are on Steam versus PlayStation versus Xbox? You know, like how much of it is console versus PC? I'm genuinely curious. I'm not sure. See, Sarcastico, thank you for the bits as well. Hey Luke, hope your day is going great. Do you or have you played Keeper? I have not played Keeper. I have not. Is it good? Is it good? Let me know. Because I know Jacob was following it. That's that game from the guys that do Psychonauts, whatever that studio is called. Double Fine. But I mean, it's very quirky. It's very weird, but I've heard good things about it, but no, I've not played it myself. I think I booted it, like I downloaded it, booted up, played like a little bit, but it was like right when it dropped. I never finished it, but it's a good time. It's not massive, right? Like it's probably more of a Little Nightmares style game. Love my Double Fine. Dude, when is that pot game coming out? Remember the pot and jar one they announced with the Fable presentation? When is that coming out? It's later this year, right? I don't know. I'll have to see. Nate Dub, thank you for the sub with Prime as well. Revengerous, thank you for the sub with Prime. Jin Tajin, thank you for the sub with Prime as well. Thank you guys. Very, very generous. Silent Storm, thank you for the sub. Been loving CD, reporting bugs as they come up. Love what you do. Like, thank you, my friend. And thank you for reporting bugs so they can fix them. Appreciate you. You're doing the Lord's work. Indeed. The Player's Archive resubbed for 2 months. Thank you, my friend. Hi, Luke. How are you this fine evening? Why do you think people are willing to give Crimson Desert a try even if it takes 10 hours before the game gets good, very good, not willing to give a game like Marathon that same opportunity. Oh, so like, why are people willing to go through the fire and trenches with Crimson, but maybe not with Marathon? I think for one, it's because you see clips like this that look so freaking cool that you're willing to put in, 10 hours that are maybe like 7 out of 10 because this looks like 10 out of 10, And I think that is the carrot at the end of the stick for a lot of people that motivates them to push through. And I think some of the discourse around the stuff with Crimson gets exaggerated. It's not like the first 3 chapters are 2 out of 10s. It's not like they're 4 out of 10s. They're like slow, and I think they're very methodical in introducing mechanics and systems and little bitty world building things, which is what I would kind of expect with a massive game like this. But I think it's more because you see that this is what you're able to do later, and so by contrast, it feels super, super shallow and surface level in those early chapters. But once you get there, dude, it is something else. There's nothing quite like it. I mean, I can't think of a game that's been this massive and this crazy in terms of scope and scale, and it's just outrageous. But that's why a lot of people are loving it and they're eating it up, Can't get enough of it. So I think that's a part of it. As for Marathon, why it's struggled to achieve the same thing, Marathon at the end of the day is just a game in a niche genre. Like, hardcore extraction shooters are just more niche than something like this. Like, this is a game with a massive mainstream appeal, and I just don't think Marathon has that same mainstream appeal. But the problem is, as we described before, for Marathon, at the end of the day, the real problem, as many people have pointed out, is that it was a game for a niche audience, but developed with the costs of a game that appeals to the mass market, and those don't mix well, because that is how you end up with a budget in the realm of hundreds of millions, but you can only sell maybe 50 or 60 million dollars worth of copies because it's just not made for mass market appeal. And that's why the people that like Marathon love it and are really, really into it. But it's also why you're not going to sell the same volume. You can make niche games that do really well and have super devoted fan bases. You can absolutely do that. There's countless examples. The problem is when you develop it for a smaller audience, but you did it with a budget that is insanely massive and can only be recouped with mass market success, That's been the problem for Bungie and for Marathon. It's not a question of the game. Like, people have been asking about Marathon. Oh, do you think that they can have like a massive Cyberpunk level comeback or something? Like, no, it's not broken. The game is working exactly the way they designed it to, and the people that play it really like it. It has a good amount of content, and the people that are in it are eating it up. There's nothing to really fix, There's nothing to fix. It is what it is. So there's no, crazy recovery or anything. It just is what it is. The problem is that what it is not a game that's going to sell 20 million copies. That's just not what it is. And precisely because they didn't make it trying to be mass market appeal, the people that like it absolutely love it, but it's never going to blow up. And I think at this point, I don't think it'll ever get to like Arc Raiders. I don't see a world in which they issue some update and it recovers, and not even recovers, but it brings new players in to reach that peak. It's just not that kind of game, And my point has always been, it's not about whether these numbers are good or bad or are like impressive for live service games today. It's whether or not Sony is happy with the numbers. We could be happy with the numbers. If I paid $10 to own Bungie, I'd be very happy with these numbers. Crazy happy. But if I paid $3.7 billion, I don't think I'd be that happy. I don't, the success, like, even if it did Arc Raiders numbers, I still don't think that's a $3.7 billion game. Like, that is such an insanely large amount of money. It's hard to describe just how insane that is. But that's the question. It's not whether these numbers are good in a vacuum, because none of this happens in a vacuum. Bungie does not exist in a vacuum. It exists within the corporate structure of Sony, who already is pretty pissed they spent as much as they did, you know? So anyway, it's a good question. It's a good question. But I think at the end of the day, Players Archive, it comes down to a point about mass market appeal. And then as for Marathon, it is exactly what it's trying to be. It's just the game that it's trying to be is one that doesn't necessarily appeal to a lot of people. So people see Marathon for what it is and are like, yeah, it looks cool, but not for me. Whereas Crimson Desert, they look at it and they're like, I really like what that is. I really want that. I just have to go through like, you know, a really lengthy onboarding process. I can put up with that. You know, that's the key. And then M4RC23, Marky 23, maybe. Thank you for the sub. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, I'm hearing, guys, people are saying Twitch is lagging. If you're having trouble with Twitch, apparently YouTube is way more stable, but yeah, apparently Twitch is super laggy. I do not know why. I wish I had an answer, but Twitch is being Twitch, as they do. Kappa Claus, good to see you, my friend. 33 months. What's up? Since CD doesn't do much hand holding, would you say the quest structure is similar to the newer Zelda games? Have a good day. Probably. Once you start quests, it works very similarly to like even Red Dead's quest structure, with a rough area that you go to, and then it's up to you to figure out what to do within that. Except it's much more open-ended with how you solve different problems and things. But yeah, there's not really a clear-cut example of another game that does it quite the same way. But yeah, it does not hold your hand in terms of, I think, the broad strokes. Inside missions and stuff, it'll tell you where to go. It'll tell you what you need to do. But it's the sort of broad strokes, like broader direction. What am I doing in this game? That's where you make the decisions. If you want to blast through main story stuff, you can. If you want to just, after 5 hours, run off and go try to find a volcano to jump in, you can do that. It's up to you, you know? Any news on GTA 6? Yes, we're going to talk about it here in just a few minutes. Yes. One of you guys sent me a video you wanted me to watch, and so I've not seen it, but we're going to see. We're going to see what they have to say. Redhead Jack, thank you for the 5. Got the Vader 5 Pro to replace my Elite 2. It's so much better at a third the price. Face buttons are clicky like a mouse, kind of weird, but feels better. Good to know. I'll pull that up in another tab, because like I said, my Elite 2 is like going out. It keeps disconnecting constantly, and it's driving me crazy. I have to play it hardwired or it doesn't work. It disconnects every like minute if I don't have it hardwired. So yeah, there's a volcano. No. Are there massive pools and lakes of liquid mercury? Maybe. Don't swim in them. Don't swim in them. It's a bad idea. Don't do it. Phantom, thank you for the 10. Oops, I scrolled too far. Oh yes, thank you for that one. I did read that one. Let's see. Yamin the man, thank you for the super chat. Hey Luke, wanted to say I love your content. Also want to mention I sent you a DM on Twitter regarding issues with joining the Discord. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. I can follow up on that. I can even just, you know, you've been waiting. Let me see if I can do this, you know, live. We'll do it live. F it. We'll do it live. Oh my God. Real quick, I just want to say to everybody, I did not know that Twitch or X stopped sending notifications when you got DMs. I have like a lot of DMs from like some pretty important people from like weeks ago, dude. Weeks. And I'm just now seeing them. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Oh, that's awkward. That's really, really awkward. I am sorry. Okay. What are you gonna do? It's too late now. Oh God, that's so awkward. Oops. Oops. That's freaking funny. I feel bad now. Okay, that's freaking awkward. It's like, guys, do you guys remember when I told you how I was invited to the red carpet premiere of The Last of Us Season 1 on HBO? I was invited to the red carpet premiere. The invite went to my spam folder. I saw it like the day after the red carpet premiere because I was talking about the show and everything. And somebody's like, dude, what if you got invited? Wouldn't that be great? And I was like, I didn't look. And I typed in Last of Us, whatever, in my inbox, and it pops up. Like, that is an oof. That is an oof, dude. If you've ever felt like you've had an oof, that's a big oof, dude. It was like, I cannot believe it. So now, yeah, now I've done it again with X DMs, apparently. That's freaking hilarious. No, they did not invite me for season 2's red carpet premiere, or maybe that went to another spam folder I still haven't found. Who knows? Season 1 was good. Season 1 was good. 2 is where it fell off the tracks, but season 1 was good. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big oopsie. I sent that to you, Yaman, so just check your XDMs. It won't notify you. I just learned that, so check that out. Yeah, I gotta enter a pin for your DMs. Yeah, which honestly I kind of appreciate, because one of the problems we ran into was like when you were streaming or doing something, if somebody sent me like a DM on stream, it would pop up and like reveal their message. It would be like a full notification on the screen. And so you'd be like, I did not mean to just reveal and like drop your DM, but that's what X did. And so enough people complained about it that they added it to be locked behind a wall. But yeah, I feel bad now. Anyway. Okay. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Okay, let's see. I wonder what IGN will give to the new Life is Strange game. It has a setting for skipping gameplay parts. Really? Gamer engineers? That's kind of funny. I would not be surprised if it is much more, if they're more forgiving with it. I think, again, like one of the core problems with how big outlets review games is just on a foundational level, they have a team of like 15 reviewers, and then the editor or editorial team or board or whoever assigns the reviewer to each project. And so sometimes they assign the perfect person to the game and it works. You know, they'll assign the guy who's played every From Software game to review Elden Ring, and because he loves From Software games, Elden Ring is a 10 out of 10. If they gave the Mario Kart guy Elden Ring, he'd give it a 6 or a 45 out of 100, because he'd be like, I hate this. Where's Princess Peach? He'd hate it, right? And so the assignment of the reviewer really, really matters. Sometimes they do it right. Sometimes they get it real wrong in both directions. They'll give somebody access to a game and they'll give it a crazy high score. But then for everybody else who's looking at the game, it doesn't at all jive with what they would give it, you know? And so it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. That's why a lot of people have been moving away from that and moving instead towards individual creators or streamers or YouTubers, whatever, that they relate to more. You know, that works better. But you're one person, you're reviewing everything. Well, I think specifically I'm one person. So if you tend to agree with my takes and you like the same stuff that I like, if I like X game, you're probably going to like it too. And you know that. And if I say this sucks, you know, because we have similar tastes, or at least you know the types of games that I like and don't like, you can figure out how that's going to relate to you. With IGN and GameSpot and whoever, because it's just this big amorphous logo, and it's a different person almost every time that's reviewing it, you never really know what you're getting because it's different every time, you know? It's why we look at, when we're looking at like a reviewer on a big outlet like that, you click on their like writer's profile and then it'll tell you what other things they reviewed. And you can start to piece together like what type of games does this person like? What types of games do they not like? They gave this game a 6, but what did they rate positively? Oh, they reviewed Highguard really positively. Kind of start, like you can start to decipher it, you know? You can figure it out. Let's see. Mr. Mo, thank you for that. I have 15 hours in Crimson Desert and I have no idea how I feel about it. One minute I'm having fun with bounties and the next I want to punch my monitor because I'm bored. That's funny. It's like entertainment whiplash. You just don't know what you're getting from moment to moment. That's funny. I think the key with Crimson is to figure out how you have fun with it and just do that. If you have fun with hunting bounties and going and finding boss fights and stuff, do that. If you have fun with puzzles, go to the spires and just do puzzles. Like, find where you find the fun and chase that, because there's going to be a lot of it. You know, that's the key. That's the key. $0. Thank you for the 2. Hey, Luke, how many hours have you got now in Crimson? Do we count? It happened again, guys. Do we count the hours that I've had to backtrack because of Steam clouds crapping out on me? It happened again. I told you guys that I played one evening and spent like 3.5 hours on it. And then I went back to my gaming PC and none of that was like saved and transferred properly. So I just had to eat the 3.5 hours. It happened again. Same here, literally same. Yeah, okay. That's funny. But it happened again where I played a bunch on my like gaming PC and then I like closed it, saved it, whatever. And I should have checked. It's my own fault. I didn't think about it. So I went upstairs and like we had dinner, got the kids down or whatever. And then I was like, I'm going to lay on the couch and pull out my Legion Go. And I played some more. And I didn't even think about it. I booted in and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to run over here and I'm going to like do some puzzles or whatever. And so I did that. And then I finished up, hit save. I overwrote the save file. I don't know why. I don't know why I did it, but I did. And then when I came back down here, I was like, wait, I had a different helmet hold on. And I checked and I had overwritten. So when I loaded up on the Legion Go, I had loaded into the save before I put in all those hours on the gaming PC. I played and then I overwrote the save that like was later after the gaming PC save. So I like lost 6+ hours. Like I played a lot and it's just gone. I think what it is that, you know how it gives you the prompt to load or you can hit continue and like just play. I think when it goes play, it goes to the autosave. But when you have two different devices, the autosave is specific to the device, I think. And so when I hit play on the Legion Go, it loaded from the autosave from last time I was playing that, which was before the long session on the gaming PC. But it did load the main like manual save, I think is what happened. Long story short, pain. Yes. So at this point, I have accidentally wasted 9 hours or something on just stupid stuff. So learn my lesson and do not overwrite your saves. Go down the list and manually save them and then start back over at the top and go back through. Just don't overwrite your most recent save. Yes, 95% of the time you'll be fine doing it. But the one time it was a mistake, you're going to lose a ton of stuff. All pain, no gain, literally. So overall, right now, I'm probably like total playtime at like, I don't even know, like 100, 115, something like that. In terms of how many hours are on the specific save file I'm using, I genuinely am not sure because I've wasted a lot. But I'm having a really good time like going through at my own pace, trying not to delete my own save files and overwrite them. And, put in an hour here, 2 hours here and having a good time. I'm just eating it up. It's been really nice to be able to just kind of relax and just explore and not have to like binge it. But even then, like I still would not say that I'm that close. How close are you to the credits? I think if I were to beeline it now, it's probably like 15 to 20 hours of main story stuff left that I could get. There are no spoilers, but there are some massive spikes in difficulty in terms of like DPS checks and defense checks for your gear towards the end of the game. So there's certain points where you need like a certain level of stamina. And so there's just basically some massive checks towards the end. And so I'm at the point where I'm just kind of exploring, having a good time. I'm not rushing through it. I'm not beelining through it. And that's working well for me. But if I wanted to beeline it, barring any sort of major hiccup, I could probably wrap it in like 15 to 20 hours or something. But yeah, take your time. Yeah, I did that yesterday. Yeah, dude, it hurts so bad when it happens. Yeah, rookie numbers, you gotta pump those numbers up. Dude, I've seen some people that are at like, one dude from the review period is already like well over 400, and he's still finding new things. Like absolutely crazy. Hitting Demonis was certainly a gear check. Yeah, no, it definitely is. Still haven't leveled health 70 hours in. Really? Dude, you're a braver man than I. I've done a little bit of health leveling. My main focus has been on stamina, but after the stamina buff, I feel it's not as necessary anymore. You know, has he slept? Apparently not. He's one of those guys. I think he's single. This is what he does for a living. So he's just been pumping through it. And like, he literally will pump out like 12 hours a day and just rock through it. It's crazy. But anyway, let's see. $0. Oh, I read that one. Leo, thank you for the 2. Luke, Avowed or Starfield for PS5? I need help picking. Well, we don't know how Starfield runs on PS5 yet. So I would still wait to see if it runs well. Never doubt Bethesda's ability to screw up a port. Okay. So I would just, I'd be cautious. That being said, assuming they both run well, they are very different types of games. Like Starfield is massive. And the old saying is, you know, it's a mile wide and an inch deep. Whereas I think Avowed is much tighter. It's more of a AA sandbox RPG than it is a massive AAA one. So they're just different, you know, like, and I think if you think of it that way, Avowed is a AA fantasy RPG inspired by old school games like Skyrim, but it's not massive. It's not technologically outrageous. It's just a tighter budget. And I enjoyed it. It's just, you know, a good game. It's not exceptional. It's not amazing. It's good. In the part, or as for Starfield, I think it's also like at this point with some of the improvements they've made, it's probably at the point where you could probably say it's even good. The problem is that it's not like any of their other games. It is not a game you're probably going to put 1,000 hours into like Skyrim. You know, it's just not that kind of game. The writing is pretty meh. The tech really holds it back, but there's a lot to do and there's plenty to find and lots of exploration to be had. But I think with Starfield, it's just one of those games where after like 30 to 40 hours, you've probably seen what you need to see, you know? And if that's where you want to leave it, that's great. It's kind of like Valhalla, you know? AC Valhalla, I always told people, no, you can buy it and have a great time. It's just, you'll have a great time. And then about 25 hours in, you're going to be like, bro, again, like there's more I have to do. There's more checklists. There's more of this crap. At that point, when you start having that like frustration and you stop having fun, just stop playing. You know, just stop playing and you'll have a good time. But if you try to force yourself to play all 100 hours, you're going to be burnt out. You know, it's just not going to work. So it's a tough question, you know, Avowed or Starfield. They're very, very different. Kind of depends on what you're looking for. So sorry to not be more helpful, but the guardsman, yo, everyone. Thank you for the 2 months. Thank you, my friend. Much love, much love. Also you get plus 40 stamina by consuming an item from a boss fight. Yeah, there's ways to, I don't want to get too specific with the endurance check that you hit, but there are ways around it. Yeah. With like certain food items or things that could give you buffs for sure. And honestly, some of those stamina checks may not apply anymore, or maybe very different with the updates they've done. I genuinely am not sure. You know, I'm not sure. How long, or this is how the Avatar game got me. I'm not sure what do you mean with like the presentation of the world? The Avatar game is very, very beautiful. It is very, very beautiful. Alexander, thank you for the 5, was beating my head against the wall at the Sanctum of Temperance because I had the wrong block in my pot and the one I needed was at camp. Oh no, really? That sucks, dude. That sucks. Imagine being in the review period where you can't Google it to find out you have the wrong one. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Jonathan, thank you for the 5. Any thoughts on Toxic Commando? Played it with my brother and a great time. Like COD Zombies meets Left 4 Dead with Space Marine 2 progression. I have not tried it. I've seen some people talk about it, but no, I've not tried it yet. I've been all devoured by Crimson Desert. Steve Flomo, thank you for the 5. Fortnite was a survival game initially. They pivoted. Marathon could be a massive success, but not as a live service extraction shooter game. I maybe this is just me. I want more like, maybe I'm a boomer. I like arenas. Okay. I like games where you could even have a hero base, you can have a class base, whatever, but where it's not filled with gimmicks of different game modes and different like little capture the flag things or defuse the bombs. I like just pure gunfight. Just pure like Apex Legends arenas were my jam, where it's 3v3 in a pretty straightforward environment, and it's just, last team standing wins. That's it. Unreal Tournament. Yeah, it's just don't overcomplicate it, and you can have heroes, you can have different abilities and stuff that keeps it interesting for sure, but I just don't think we need to overcomplicate it. And I think if High Guard had arenas, I would have played a good chunk of it. I think if Marathon were to add an arenas mode, that would probably get me back into it, because Apex dropped their arenas. But I'm probably not the best person to ask, because I loved Apex arenas, and guess what they don't have anymore? Probably because not many people were playing it. Arenas. So I recognize that I'm probably in the vast minority, but dude, if they added arenas, that would at least get me back. That would get me to come in and check it out. Did you see they made a VR game about the guy getting stuck in the Nutty Putty cave? Yeah, I've thought about downloading it because I have the Quest 3 or whatever, and I talk myself out of it every time because I do not on a foundational level understand why anybody would want to go caving. Spelunking. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I get skydiving. I get mixed martial arts and boxing. I get those things, which are dangerous, but I get them. I get why you would do it. The cave climbing and diving and exploration thing, I'm so not into it, dude. I just not interested. So, yeah, I've seen that they've done that. I have not tried it. I'm good. Yeah, it's literally insane. To me, it's the same thing with like free climbing. Like the guys that go and climb up the cliff face with no ropes. Like, I'm sure the adrenaline rush is wild and is amazing, but I just don't. I'm good. To me, there's a point where it crosses over from like brave into like stupid death wish. Like you're just trying to tempt fate. You like look up in the heavens like, hey God, bet you won't. It's just, I'm so not into it, but that's, I'm sure they look at people like me who are sitting in their basement talking to a camera and they're like, that seems so boring, I could never. And that's totally fine. But it's just not me, man. It is not me. My goodness. Luke, I recall you having a box addiction, keeping all your boxes. Why? I am moving and I have so many boxes. It's insane. I kept these things. I got rid of most of the boxes when we moved here. The one, or the main exception to that rule that I keep, or that I hold to, I will keep monitor and TV boxes. Those I will keep in the garage, crammed in a corner, or like in the attic, or I'll keep in the closet, wherever. Because a big TV that is very delicate, I don't want to just wrap it in a blanket and call it a day. I'd rather just put it back in its original box. I think our next house is going to be like, maybe not forever home, but at least like home while the kids are growing up. So that one I'll probably, get rid of the TV boxes. Don't worry about it. But when you're going to be moving in like a year or two, it's one of those things where it's like, why throw them away now? Might as well keep them. Let's see. Arma Nicole Man, thank you for the 2. I hope we see Wolverine soon. It's going to be April. I think we don't see it until after Saros launches, and Saros launches April 30th. So I don't think we see it until like May. But they probably launch Sorrows and then they do like a big marketing push and showcase or something in May leading into June. They'll show off Wolverine and that's going to be that. I actually don't expect PlayStation to have much of a presence at all this summer. I really don't. I think they've got Wolverine, but like what else would they show in a showcase? I mean, there's rumors that maybe Corey's new game, the new God of War game, is ready for prime time. But if Wolverine is taking the fall spot, that puts Corey's game in the spring, probably. And if it's coming in the spring, why would they showcase it in May? You know, like why would they do that? Intergalactic, that's probably also late next year though. So I think it makes more sense for them to show it in like September. So I'm kind of expecting PlayStation to just skip the summer months. And they'll just let Xbox and everybody else do their thing, and then they'll come out in September and do a showcase and do that. Do you think they're still releasing that PlayStation monitor? Genuine question. Did they not already? I thought they already did. It's not my kind of thing, personally, but I would check it out. I would try it. But the thing with a lot of monitors is that the panels are all manufactured by like one or two companies, and then they just put it in a different plastic shell with a couple of different firmware like tweaks. Like a lot of the monitors are the same. It's just little bitty tweaks and dials that make them different. So, you know, paying a premium for like a white plastic rim, I'm just like, maybe there's more to it that I don't know about. I'd be open to finding out. I just genuinely don't know. But when I was selling TVs and monitors and stuff through Best Buy and Magnolia Home Theater, it was one of those things where I was like, you gotta be a little cautious. Herman's the GOAT. Let's cancel everything and show nothing. Yes. Promote that man right now. Promote him. Fair game, $ will save the business. Dude, it's apparently still a thing. I wish them the best of luck because clearly they think they have something. They think they have something good enough that it could really pop off. I don't know what it is, but they think they've got something special. So I'm hoping maybe it ends up being amazing. But I personally, as of right now, I don't get it. And I don't think anybody else does, really. Anything about Judas? No, still nothing. I hope we see it at Summer Games Fest, though. I hope we see it. I think it was January of 2020. When was that? It was like we played Judas. 2 years ago.
Player game could be infinitely replayable with story and even characters that feel alive and active. Well,
so March of 2024. March of 2024, they were letting people play it. Like, what is happening? Where is the game? You know, like he is known for taking forever. Okay. He basically restarted BioShock Infinite twice. Okay. So I respect being a perfectionist and wanting to get the game out in the ideal form. But like, bro, you started showcasing it 2 years ago and we still like know nothing about it. It's very crazy. It's very crazy. So, oh, look, it's Highguard's #1 fan. It's Jeff Highgard. We found him. He is never living that down, dude. I feel a little bad. Like, on the one hand, it's his own doing, but like, he's never ever living that down. It's pretty funny. Okay, we're almost there, and then I'm gonna talk about Xbox. We gotta talk about Xbox real quick. Okay, Joa Grassi, thank you for the 10. Luke, don't you think how crazy it is that the Switch 2 can have the greatest price redemption by just keeping the same price, from overpriced to the best deal in gaming? It's crazy, but yeah, because when everything else raises in price, if it stays still, it all of a sudden feels like a great deal. I do expect they're going to raise the price of the Switch 2, though. My personal prediction is that they are going to raise the price of the Switch 2 shortly before they reveal more about Duskbloods. Because just think about it. If you're Nintendo and you are about to have an exclusive from one of the most respected developers in the world, From Software, you're about to have a console exclusive that's going to drive a bunch of people to buy your console. Would you rather raise the price on your console now so that all those people pay an extra $50, or after? Of course, now. You want the extra money. So I think they're going to raise the price of the Switch 2 this year, and I think it'll be shortly before they reveal more information about the Duskbloods. So they'll take the PR hit, normalize the price at like $5.99, and then they're going to introduce the game and showcase more of it and try to get people excited to go buy it. That's what I'm expecting. So yeah, I think at that point still, is it a good deal? Probably, compared to everything else. Yeah. Because everything else is also insanely expensive. So there it is. Or the Ocarina of Time remake. Yeah. If they have games they know people will buy and they'll buy a console for it, why would they raise the price of the console after? Like, why not? Do you think these executives really care? Do you think they really care? Wait, that might be upsetting to some people. They do not care. Like they do not care. They might even get off on that, you know? Like, I don't think they care. They're gonna do it anyways. Alex, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, do you think people will be less inclined to purchase the PS5 Pro once GTA 6 comes out? Who knows how much it'll cost by November? I mean, once it comes out, I think there's going to be two waves, because GTA 6 is going to launch with the story mode, and then the online mode probably launches a month or two later. And that's going to be another flood of people, because all of the biggest streamers in the world, you know, Kai Cenat and Speed, are going to come back, and they're going to do big streams doing role play servers and stuff. It's going to be massive. People will rush out and buy whatever they need to buy to play it. So I don't think I don't think GTA 6 will really affect it. I think it will help them move more consoles. What I do think is going to happen, let's say, like to the other point of your question, later after it launches. So say like April of 2027, what are we looking at? GTA 6 is in the rear view mirror, and you know, we're looking forward. At that point, do I think people are buying PS5 Pros? I would expect not, because the next gen is like 12 months away. Kai doesn't stream anymore. I think Kai doesn't stream anymore for now. I think once the prospect of that GTA 6 money comes around, you know, it'll be a big reunion tour kind of thing. I don't think Kai is gone forever, because if he wanted to fully disconnect and he was actually like, I want to retire, he would have retired. He's still posting stuff regularly. It's just not stuff his fans want. So I think he'll come back eventually, but yeah, we'll see. Kai streams when he wants a new house. Yeah, basically. Let's see. I honestly wouldn't call any of these particularly good deals. They're just what there is now. Well, exactly. That's why I said, in comparison to everything else, what was once a bad deal becomes a good deal. Like if you, what's something that's like necessary? Well, I mean, even if we just look at houses, like 10 years ago, a house cost $250,000. The rest of the market, and maybe that was like a fair price at the time. We'll just say it's fair. A year goes by, they price it all of a sudden out of nowhere at $500,000. And you're like, what is wrong with you? You're twice what everybody else is priced at. That's a bad deal. But as time goes by, everybody else raises their prices up, and now the average price is at $750,000. This $500,000 house was not that long ago a very, very bad deal. But because the pricing is based on contrasting it with what everything else is, by comparison, it feels like a good deal. It feels like a discount, even though it's not. It's still outrageous. It's just what it is. Like you said, it is what it is. I'm curious how many people Rockstar is going to lay off after GTA 6's success. I think they will probably downscale a lot, especially their secondary teams like in India, for example. But that's just how it is. Let's see. And then lastly, then we'll get into this. Alan Tokosh, thank you for the 5. Luke, I recall you having a box. Oh, I read that one. Yeah, box addiction. That sounds sexual, but I swear it's not. He's talking about actual cardboard boxes, okay? I swear. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. So, new segment. Jacob's like, finally. So we all know that Xbox is in what's called a transitionary period. They are swapping over leadership. They are finding a new direction to go on out into the future with. All of that is being headed up by Asha Sharma, the new head of Xbox. She's brought in some of her own people. She is trying to figure out what they should and shouldn't be doing. Notably, her first big decision was to go away from the "This is an Xbox" campaign that was championed by Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond. She cut that. It was one of the first things she apparently did. After that, she's been trying to, according to reporting from various outlets like Windows Central, she's trying to actively cut red tape. So previously, there were all sorts of different approvals from tons of different departments that you'd have to go and receive before you could do like an update for the console's UI. Like, for example, fans were requesting for years to be able to customize the color of the highlights in the Xbox dashboard, but you couldn't. And so it seems like a really simple thing to do compared to everything else that they do. But it took years and years and they weren't doing it. Asha takes over. Within a matter of weeks, they've added it as a feature, along with like manually deciding which games go into the quick resume bucket, because there's some games like maybe live service games you don't want to quick resume into because you want them to be able to do patches overnight and stuff like that, which it can't do if it's still booted up and running. So like quality of life improvements that have been requested for years, she's gone in, cut the red tape to just try and get them out. One of the other things that she's apparently done is listen to a lot of fan feedback. They've done a lot of surveys. Some of you guys might have even received some of them and filled them out. But one of the things that she's seen is that there is a lot of desire for more transparency and a lot of desire for community-driven events and for the brand to build itself in a way that's like fun for players and that is not so clearly directed by just cost-cutting measures, which is why it's interesting what they revealed today, okay? So the Xbox Game Showcase was just revealed. Even though it's March, they've already announced it for Sunday, June 7th, followed by a Gears E-Day Direct. So if you recall, in like 2023, they had the Starfield Direct where it got a full 45-minute deep dive. 2024, it was Call of Duty. They got the deep dive Direct. And then last year, it was Outer Worlds 2. Notably because that was the game they were going to try to charge $80 for. That was going to be the first game, was Outer Worlds 2, which in hindsight is all the more insane that they thought that they could get $80 for that game. It's a good game. It's just $80, fam. Really? Like, what are we doing? So with this, they're highlighting Gears of War E-Day. That's getting the big deep dive, and it makes sense. This is the 25th anniversary of Xbox. It's a big year for Xbox, and it is also like a moment where they could potentially start to really reclaim some ground and momentum, and get people excited for the brand again if they do this properly. Gears is one of those franchises that is like integral to Xbox. When you think Xbox, you think like probably Gears, you think Halo, you know, like there's a few brands that you really, really clearly immediately think of, and Gears is definitely one of them. So it makes sense that they're highlighting it. And you'll also see, as they mention, Xbox Fan Fest returns. More on that in just a second. So as you can see, they describe how the event is happening. Gears of War E-Day Direct. They're going to start the day with the showcase, including first gameplay looks and huge news on upcoming titles from our first-party studios across the Xbox family, as well as our third-party partners around the globe, from the biggest franchises to soon-to-be indie darlings. Immediately following the showcase, we'll go even deeper on one of the games coming later this year, directly from the team behind the Gears franchise, the Coalition. Gears of War E-Day Direct will take players into the start of Emergence Day, offering new details, gameplay, and insights about the hugely anticipated origin story to the Gears of War saga, which I think, you know, this game could easily pop off if they do a good job with it. To help celebrate Xbox's 25th anniversary, we're excited to bring back Xbox Fan Fest at the showcase. This year's experience will include a look back at the last 25 years alongside a forward view of what's next. Enter for your chance to win free tickets to attend here. They're doing a giveaway for tickets. to be clear, this is something that they apparently dropped last year, and it's basically like a big fan community meetup thing where they all celebrate the brand together, and it's like a big event, kind of like a mini E3, right? And they cut it last year, presumably because of costs. It was going to be really expensive, and they were like, and so they didn't bother with it. And now they're bringing it back. And obviously it's the 25th anniversary. If there's going to be a year to do it, makes sense. Do it here. But it's very, very interesting to see how Asha is coming in and is specifically trying to reclaim some energy and momentum. With this, it's also really, really, I think, clear that Asha is good at, I'm sure, many things. But the main reason, I think, we've like found out more and more, it's becoming more and more clear that one of the main reasons she was hired instead of other people within Xbox was, one, because she's an outsider, but two, because Asha Sharma, when she worked at Instacart, was all about user acquisition. She was all about getting people outside the tent, inside the tent, so it grows. That's what she's really, really good at. That's why she was originally hired at Microsoft. And it seems like that's what they're hoping she does here. And her approach seemingly is pretty simple. Ask fans what they want and then give it to them. Be transparent. And even if some things are going to be a little expensive, if it costs $1 million, but it gets you $5 million worth of goodwill in the long term, it's worth doing it. What I think started to happen towards the end of Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond's time at the helm was that, like, they had just been beaten up in the press for so many years, and morale was so low, and everybody was just like, yeah, Xbox is dead. They killed it. Okay, there it is. Like, that was the meme for years, was that Xbox is dead. Like, that was the meme that everybody ran with. And like, is it technically true? No, they still make millions and they have massive studios, but the vibe was there. The brand of Xbox was dying, you know? And I think that at some point it just broke their spirits, dude. Like, I think at some point they were just like, why would we do a big event for everybody to come and gather just for, you know, us to be announcing, yep, come celebrate Xbox, but everything's an Xbox, including PlayStation. So like, if you want to play the games, you can be on PlayStation. So why come to the Xbox event? It just, again, identity of the brand was just bizarre, and it just was floundering. And so I think what Asha's doing now is trying to actually build the brand back up into something. What that something is remains to be seen. And I think that there's maybe some wishful thinking when it comes to a lot of this. Xbox diehard fans have made it very, very clear that if the brand wants to really have its own foothold in the industry, it needs to have exclusives, at least in one way or another. Now, does that mean that like Call of Duty stops going to PlayStation? No, I don't think so. But I think that they need to have very clear lines, and it needs to be clearly communicated when something is going cross-platform and when something isn't. Maybe do what PlayStation's doing, and it's like single-party stuff, or first-party stuff rather, and single-player stuff. That goes on the Xbox console and hardware. It goes on Game Pass, whatever. But live service stuff where player counts are really, really crucial, that goes everywhere. So Call of Duty will go everywhere. You know, if it's something massive like Forza, that goes everywhere. But Fable, I know they've already announced it for PlayStation, so that's probably a bad example. But like Elder Scrolls 6, maybe that stays as an exclusive within the ecosystem and platform. But it's got to be consistent and clear across the board. That's been one of the big problems for Xbox, is that nobody freaking knows what's going on. I think the reason it felt like that was because they also did not know what was going on. It was constantly changing. You remember how back years ago, Phil Spencer, when they were first discussing like the potential for bringing games to PlayStation, it was 4 games. It was, we're bringing 4 games to PlayStation. And before long, it was everything's going to PlayStation. But then it was like, maybe there's a little pullback. No, everything is going, but some games are going to come to PlayStation later, like Indiana Jones. And I think it just led to this really bizarre lack of clarity. You know, nobody really knew what was happening, and they were actively trying to figure it out and couldn't decipher it, you know? One of the most telling, like, I don't know why I think of this. Gamescom, Indiana Jones. This was one of the most like telling moments I feel in recent memory, where it was just like, what did you expect? I think this is the snippet. Okay.
But there is one more.
Like, this was one of those moments. I think that Xbox genuinely thought that there would be like a standing ovation and excitement, but instead the crowd goes mild. Just wait.
Thing that Machine Games and Bethesda wanted to share with you about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The game's coming to PlayStation 5 in spring of 2025.
It was just like, okay. It's just kind of weird, you know? It just didn't really land that way. And I think it's just this, again, years and years of conflicting messaging, no clear direction, and they were just floating, trying to figure out what the hell they were going to do. So my primary desire for Asha as the new leader of Xbox is just simply clarity. Like, if she can just come in and say what they're doing, what their strategy is for the next 5 years, and then like actually freaking stick to it, I think that would do so much to repair the brand based on what we've seen over the last like 6 to 8 years, you know? They just have to stick with it. And so if she has this clear vision of what they're doing, be super transparent and clear about it, and it'll go a long way. It's why, like, at this showcase, the Xbox Game Showcase, I think this will be a huge moment for her to come out and clearly set forward that vision. Because bear in mind, she's not just leading them through the end of the series generation. It seems like she is going to be there through the launch of next generation as well. And so she is trying to fight a massive uphill battle. She's trying, avoid the 6-7. That's literally why I said 6 to 8 years. I was like, I'm not going to say 7. That's going to be the key, is like to actually try and fully reboot this and reclaim some momentum and start gaining some market share again. But she's got to have a clear vision. My personal expectation for what she's going to do is I think that they will still have cross-platform stuff. I do think that is going to be there. I think she has heard the clear messaging and feelings that there needs to be some level of exclusivity with the brand. Otherwise, the brand just, it doesn't mean a lot. Does that mean that Elder Scrolls 6 has to be exclusive to the Xbox console? No, it can also come out on PC, for example. But when everything is an Xbox, nothing is. When everything is an Xbox and Xbox just becomes a publisher, you shouldn't be surprised when there's not like diehard Xbox fans anymore, which is what was seemingly happening, is that they were treating it as if they were just like EA or Activision and that they're just a publisher. And then they were like, why is nobody buying a console? Why is nobody signing up and joining our ecosystem? Why are we getting clowned on in social media? And it's like, because your brand is basically nothing at this point. So I think that she's got a tough hill to climb, but she is moving quickly. She is making things happen, and she is responding directly to feedback in a very tight and immediate way, which is exactly what they need. And perhaps more than anything, the best indicator is that in 2026, whenever a new corporate executive gets appointed, there is much moaning and gnashing of teeth. Okay. It is very, very rare to have a new CEO come in and for there to not be massive turnover, for people to like actually be excited by it. One of the things that's happening in the corporate world right now, to just bear in mind, is executive. One of the biggest things that's happening in the world right now, in the world of tech and the stock market in general, is that Apple is seeing a flood of people retiring and leaving the company. Tons of executives are leaving and headed out. So you can see key executive departures: Kate Adams, Lisa Jackson, Alan Dye, Jeff Williams, John Giandrea, who is the AI chief that screwed up Siri so bad, Luca, all of these guys. But one of the reasons that they think that's happening is because they're about to have a pretty major thing happen. It looks like Tim Cook is set to retire in the next 12 months. And when he retires, the data is something crazy. It's like 70% of the time when a new CEO comes in, like half of their immediate executive cabinet leaves within 12 months. or I think it's within 6 months. I'd have to double check the study. But they did research on all these big corporations. And when you get a new CEO, it's common for the whole executive team to leave because either they're pissed they got passed over for the promotion, they don't like the new guy, they don't like the vision of the new guy, whatever it is. So he is going through this process with a bunch of people retiring, a bunch of the executive suite being moved around and reshuffled and stuff to prime it for the next CEO to take over, put their people in charge and move forward. And that's what typically happens. With Xbox, though, it was like a very quick, sharp cut off, the head of the snake with Phil and Sarah. And then they're just going to try to stick another one on and see how it goes. Maybe it works great. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see. Really curious who is taking over after he leaves. I think it's what's his name? It's the tech guy. Yeah, John Turnus. I think this guy. I'd put good money on Turnus being it. And to be clear, this is not like a hot take. As you can see, there are articles written about it. A lot of people think that Turnus is going to be the new CEO of Apple. Time will tell. But yeah, I think he's gonna take over personally. That's my guess. But yeah, going out on a limb there. Anyway, so I think that Xbox is primed. They have a lot of things going for them. They could find some success with it, but it is an uphill battle. And I think if they want to see big results, they got to make big moves. And that's what I'm hoping that she's willing to do. But it does seem the fact that she immediately, canned the "this is an Xbox" campaign, I think that shows she is not thrilled with how things are going, and she's been brought in to change stuff. She was not brought in to keep things going the way they were. If they wanted to keep things going the way they were, they would have just promoted Sarah Bond to CEO and left it. That's how they would have left it. But instead, they've gone this other direction. And again, I think it's just a prime example of it doesn't matter what you think about, the cross-platform push that Microsoft made. It doesn't matter what you think about this or that. At the end of the day, what they were doing was not working. Clearly. It was not working. And so they just need to try something else. And I hope that for Asha, she's willing to come in and do things very, very differently. And I think when they do that, it will potentially help. But we'll see. Maybe all of this is just building into a Starfield sequel. Maybe. Timur posted this, which is Starfield's considered a franchise now. Yeah, well, they've been calling Starfield a franchise for years. So blockbuster franchises such as Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, Evil Within, Prey, Rage, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Starfield. I think that it's been just considered a franchise since it launched, I think. But yeah, maybe that's what they're building up to. That's how they're going to save Xbox. Starfield 2 or Starfield 76. Starfield 76. Never say never. Never say never. Okay. Thank you for the 5, Pokemon. Thank you. Let's see. Hi, Luke. Just bought my Gamescom tickets. First time going. Any tips? I've never been to Gamescom. I've been to other gaming conferences and stuff, but I've never been to Gamescom specifically. So if anybody else in chat has suggestions for it, do that. The one thing I did hear from Luality, actually, she said for your accommodations, you have to stay in a hotel right next to the venue. If you go even a few blocks over to the point where you might need a car or something, she said it's impossible to get to the event. So she's like, do not stay somewhere where you have to drive in because it's not going to work. She said, you got to stay in a hotel. It's going to be more expensive, but you got to stay in a hotel right next to the venue so you can just walk straight in. That's the key. That's the key. That's at least what she told me last time I talked to her about it. Yidis Deletus, thank you for the 9 months. Fun fact, in Hindi, Asha means hope. Could she be the chosen one? The last hope for Xbox? Maybe, maybe not. Meanwhile, Satya means truth. Oh, who knew? The more you know. Maybe. I genuinely, the best thing for this industry is a healthy PlayStation and a very healthy Xbox to go head to head and compete. That is what's best for the industry, is when you have two big behemoths slinging punches at each other, trying to knock each other out. and competing for your time and money. That's when the industry is at its healthiest. And part of the reason you've seen so much wasted money and time and resources this gen is because PlayStation felt totally secure that they didn't need to really compete. So they could just spend billions on vanity projects and projects that didn't really make any sense. So I think the key is competition. And that's what I hope she's able to kickstart them into providing, because PlayStation with no competition is how you get Jim Ryan and Herman Holst. You got to have competition. Got to have competition. Let's see. Tony, thank you for the 5. Did you know you can cook meat in Crimson Desert by shining the sword at it? Yes, I found that out after the game launched and was thoroughly blown away. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, there's always something new that you're discovering. Mart99, thank you for the sub, my friend. Thank you. And Bender, thank you for the 19 months. Did you see that IGN gave Marathon a 9 out of 10? The gap between gaming journalists and game opinions has never been wider. Yeah, I mean, I think, but it's also again, an artifact of how that system works, the review system, because if you're a fan of Marathon, you probably do rate it at a 9. And that's how you have to think about all of these reviews from all of these outlets, is that if you are an IGN fan, and if you are like a Marathon fan, it's probably a 9. If you are a Highguard fan, you probably give it a 7, which is what they gave it. You know, it's one of those things where the only way that you can find value in those big outlet reviews is if you if you go into it assuming that the review has, like, I don't know, just assuming that the review is going to agree with you exactly if you are exactly like the review. It just, it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work that well. I don't know. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. What's everyone's Warhammer army? I have, my primary is Thousand Suns. I also have an Orc army. I have some Necrons as well. Orcs are really fun. And I have Chaos Demons, which are fun and wacky, but Thousand Suns are my main. Better believe it. Better believe it. Okay. Let's do this real quick. This was funny. I just wanted to shout this out. Sean, bro, I saw this guy chopping down a tree in Crimson Desert. Wanted to help him out. When I hit the tree, it fell on him and crushed him. I've been staring at him for like 15 minutes in utter disbelief. 10 out of 10. Game again. I was trying to help. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. We've all been there. Also, shout out. We've talked about this game before. But I wanted to put it on your radar again. Dreadmore. It's kind of like a melding of Dredge with some other, like, you know, crazy, wacky Cthulhu horror vibes. It's a vibe, dude. It's a vibe. This is an indie game that is in the works, and it's coming soon. You can wishlist it, fish the murky waters, haul in the catch, then turn it into something new back on the docks. It looks like a vibe, personally. So recommend wishlisting it if it looks interesting. Okay. Looks like a vibe. Okay. Let's do this next. Oh, I also want to just shout this out. This is crazy. You remember all the stories, the doom and gloom stories over Crimson Desert's studio, saw their stock price dip because IGN gave it a 6 out of 10 and stuff like that? Hashtag ad? No, I wish. I just think the game looks good. Am I not allowed to say that? I think it looks good. So I'm showing you the game. So there you go. That's it. Well, the investors have swung back around. They have, like, fully recovered now and are climbing to new, not all-time peaks, because like 5 years ago the stock price was higher, but yeah, they're climbing up even more because they're realizing, hey, it doesn't seem like legacy media has that much of an impact on gamer behaviors. How crazy is that? Yeah, gaming studio or gaming stocks always drop after release. It'll happen to Take-Two as well. It happens a lot of the time. I would say the 30% drop that happened after for Crimson Desert was excessive. That was not that common, but it is common after like a big, highly anticipated thing happens for it to adjust a little bit, because hype is almost always priced in, at least a little bit. So yes, it does drop. It doesn't usually drop 30%. You know, that's a lot. But they've fully recovered now, and it seems to be doing just fine. Okay. Let's talk about a video one of you guys sent me. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this thing. Okay. What is this? Ooh, exciting news. I'll share that later. Okay. One of you guys sent me this. Let's do it. News segment. All right, so one of you guys sent me a video and you wanted to hear my thoughts on it. I've not watched yet. I don't know what we're getting into, so I reserve the right to either agree or disagree with whatever the conclusions in here are. But this was a video shared by one of you guys from a creator named Sauko505. GTA 6 will cost more than everyone thought, and I have proof. And they sent this to me because apparently they get into some financial documentation, baby, which, you know me, I love me some financial documentation. It's one of my passions in life. Let's see, because apparently GTA 6 costs a lot of money. The budgets are crazy. Let's see what he has to say.
Most people think that the budget for GTA 6 is somewhere around $1 and $2 billion. And I wanted to figure out the real number, the actual budget of GTA 6. So I calculated the operating costs of Rockstar Games from 2019, a bit after the release of RDR2, to the expected release of GTA 6 on November 19th, 2026. So watch through the video to see all my accurate calculations down to the cents, to get the absolute minimum budget and
Hold on. I need to enhance. So just off the rip, it looks like he's got breakdowns for expected salaries for animators, QA, dev, artists, others, with overhead total 2019 to 2026. He also breaks it down. Overhead in general, operating lease rentals, plant and machinery, not planes. Operating lease rentals, land and buildings, auditors, recommendations, exchange loss, leasehold improvements, computer and office equipment, futures. Okay. I'm intrigued. Continue.
and then additional estimates to that to get the high and low estimates of the budget. And the results are going to surprise you. I can guarantee that. My name is Saukko, and I know a lot of things about GTA 6. However, I'm not an accountant, so some of the things I calculate in this video might be wrong, and my methods might not be the most efficient ones. So just bear with me, and please correct my mistakes. Let's look for a baseline for the budget of GTA 6. Currently, some of the media releases with the highest production costs are the video game Star Citizen, RDR2.
Shout out Star Citizen. 800 million. I think they've almost raised $1 billion at this point. Yeah, they've spent most of the money, almost all the money, but yes, it's very, very expensive. It's outrageous.
At approximately 540 million, and then some blockbuster movies passing or coming close to 500 million. Of course, most of those numbers are just estimates, and no official numbers have ever been released for any of them. But as GTA 6 seems to be massive, it's very likely that it's going to be the most expensive media product ever so far. And of course, it's going to be at least more expensive than RDR2. So to figure out the budget, we need to make some assumptions, which means that the final number we come to will be an estimation and might not represent the real budget of GTA 6.
I appreciate the disclosure.
That has been only working on GTA 6 since the start of fiscal year 2020. So the money they put into GTA Online and RDO is negligible compared to the total operating costs of Rockstar Games.
I understand why he's doing it, because my guess is he's going to look at total employee counts and employee numbers and then figure out average pay, and then he's going to break all that down, which is fine. But GTA Online does still receive a lot of content updates. They do have a massive support staff for that. Same like Red Dead Online to a lesser extent, for sure. But Yeah, I think negligible. I'm nitpicking over the word choice. I don't think it's negligible, but I guess in the context of like a $2 to $3 billion budget, maybe like 200 million was spent on, you know, supporting those games for a decade. So it maybe like it's not negligible, but yeah, I see what he's saying. Okay, continue.
We know that Rockstar started working on the game in 2014 as they were scouting areas for the game, and full development started somewhere 2019 to 2020 according to Strauss-Zelnick. And from the 2022 leaks, we can see that a lot of work was already put into the game in 2019. But how do we start the progress of figuring out the budget? Well, probably the three highest expenses for Rockstar are leasing, so renting their studios, office supplies and equipment, like computers and servers, and labor and salaries, which typically is the highest expense in game development.
Oh yeah.
And that seems to be the case with GTA 6 too. So, we need to determine two things. How many employees does Rockstar have, and what's the average salary of an employee? We can just Google how many people work at Rockstar Games. 6,000 employees. And LinkedIn says that they have a bit more than 5,000 employees. I wonder what's the source for that info. How many people do they have per studio? The only thing that really appears is this image, which does state that Rockstar has about 6,000 employees in total.
So this is the only potential hiccup. We'll see how he handles it. But you'll notice that Rockstar does have a bunch of different branches. As with many studios, different studios work on different things. So like Ubisoft, for example, they'll have Ubisoft Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, Montpellier. They have Ubisoft Bordeaux. They have all these different ones. Ubisoft Singapore, and each of them will be doing different things. So like Singapore will work on water physics and the water tech and the ship mechanics for AC Odyssey, right? But then the main story will be worked on in Montreal, but maybe they have like the combat team is primarily working with support from like Toronto. And so it's like totally split up, and it makes it really, really difficult, you know, to break it down individually. But with this, you'll notice one of the biggest ones that's almost never talked about is this one, Rockstar India. They have 1,600 employees there. 1,600. I've heard rumblings it's even more now, but 1,600. That's wild. And this is where you could potentially get into some like hiccups, because shocker, Rockstar India is a lot cheaper to run than Rockstar North, or like a studio in England or New York. You know, it's way, way cheaper. Like each employee's costs is like literally a fraction of what you'd pay somebody in like Western markets to do it. Reese from Kiwi Talks, again, great page. Go follow his stuff. He's doing interviews constantly with developers from BGS, from Rockstar. So he's talking to the people who work on these games actively. He said, a lot of gamers underestimate how important Rockstar India is to the development pipeline for GTA 6. It was also the case with RDR2. Seriously, look at the credits of RDR2. In a number of cases, they do the first pass of animation before it's handed off to other studios for them to do the final polish. They are respected because they somehow managed to walk that line of pumping out good art at great speed while maintaining quality, and the devs are cheaper than US devs as well. People like to take shots at Rockstar India and India in general, but in this case, whatever stereotypes you hear about the devs are dead wrong. They're very talented and they're cheaper, right? So anybody, I saw one person was trying to run with this and be like, oh, they're outsourcing all the labor, so GTA 6 is gonna suck. It's like, bro, no. Like they were working on Red Dead 2 as well, which I don't think anybody's saying the animation in that was bad, you know? But the reason I'm pointing this out is because, and I will see if he mentions it. I would imagine he is, based on just this. But the salary that you're paying out in New York or Rockstar North is going to be a lot higher than the salary you're paying in, you know, Rockstar India, which is why they have a studio there, and why they do that. But yeah, we'll see.
However, as I'm making this video in the future, I know that Rockstar Lincoln definitely has less than 900 employees. So, what's the original source of this image? Let's just reverse image search it. Oldest match is this Twitter post, and it's made by, oh fucking no, GTS's Countdown. So the source for Rockstar Games having 6,000 employees is a notorious Twitter misinfo account. Oh my.
He does just kind of make up whatever he wants. The numbers are like ballpark, sure, but like GTA 6 Countdown, yeah. No, I think he actually blocked me because there was something he said about GTA 6 which was like ridiculous, and I like replied or quote tweeted it or something and said like, I don't think this is true, and he blocked me, which is funny.
My fucking god. So that is a dead end, but from this we can see that Rockstar has 10 studios. Well, actually 11, as Rockstar Australia exists, but they have probably less than 20 people working there, so we can assume that they don't matter. Otherwise, we have studios in 4 different countries. United Kingdom, with studios in London, Lincoln, Leeds, Edinburgh, and Dundee. Then Rockstar India,
Dundee.
Bengaluru, 1 studio in Rockstar Toronto, Rockstar New England, New York, Los
America.
Angeles, and San Diego in United States. And we will probably need to determine the average salary in each of these countries, because it's very likely that the average salary in Rockstar India is way less than in US.
True.
Let's start with Rockstar India, as that's maybe the easiest one, as if we trust Kiwi Talks, Rockstar India has 1,600 employees, which makes sense according to GTA Wiki, which actually recently moved from fandom to a new address gta.wiki. So in the future, avoid using the fandom version of GTA Wiki and use the wiki at gta.wiki. When Rockstar India became a part of Rockstar Games, they had about 800 employees in 2019, and they have been hiring heavily since, so 800 to 1,600 employees. How about the average salary? Well, we can kinda use Glassdoor. This is not an ad. Glassdoor is a fucking shit website, and they collect more user data than fucking anything else. So don't join it unless you need a job or something. But basically, here employees can declare their salary and at what position they are working at in the company. So if we just take how many people work in each role in the company and get the average salary of each role, we can determine the average salary of a person working in Rockstar India, which is about $6,000, and the minimum overhead costs per employee.
Is that annually? Is that annually? Bro.
Is 20%. So
It's
I'm
gotta
just
be
use
right.
that number, which brings fees per employee to a bit over $7,000. And if we assume that Rockstar India has been growing linearly, so gaining same amount of employees every year, and assuming that the salaries have stayed constant, which they most likely have not. But anyways, we come to the number of $66 million from the start of fiscal year 2020 to November 19th, 2026. So
You're starting to see why they might have thousands of developers in India. Like, there's amazing talent everywhere in the world. Amazingly talented artists all across the globe, whether it's in India or China or the US or wherever. There's amazingly talented people everywhere. The difference is, in India, you could do, get away with charging this. Whereas in the US, you'd have to pay them 10 times, 15 times, 20 times as much. If you need an employee in like the Bay Area, there's all these studios that work in like San Francisco and Paris and New York and Montreal. Like, to live there is really expensive. Like, you're probably starting the salary at like 70,000, 80,000, But over here, you can get the still amazingly talented devs for way, way, way cheaper.
So basically negligible when we are talking about the billions of dollars. Then let's take a look at the UK, and things actually get surprisingly more different. And these calculations about India were kinda useless. So after trying to figure out these things for a few days, I actually realized...
No, San Fran, I think you're more in the average of like 100,000 plus. Montreal, I genuinely am not sure. I know Montreal is expensive, but if you live outside the main like old city and you commute 20 minutes in, you can probably live on like 70 fairly comfortably over there. I know it's really expensive, but probably much more. San Fran is just insane. San Fran, $100,000 a year, you're probably still living with 5 roommates.
that a lot of financial statements in the United Kingdom are public. So if I just go to gov.uk and there to Rockstar Games UK Limited, we can find full accounts going all the way back to the establishment of the company. And we got really lucky with this, as since 2018, all of the different studios have all been combined to be under the same limited liability company. And if we actually look at the other studios here. Few of them have actually been dissolved very recently, actually during the making of this video. And from these filings, we can also see how many people worked in individual studios of Rockstar games around 2017. For example, Rockstar Leeds in 2017 had 80 employees. And of course, as all the studios have been under the same company since 2018, we can just take the employee amounts from Rockstar Games UK Limited. And this document also shows salaries and other expenses. And these numbers even include overhead costs like pensions and social security costs. So if I add the salaries from 2019 to the release of the game up in a spreadsheet, we get the number 2.7 billion for only people working in UK. So something must be wrong here. If we look at the statements from 2019, we can see that the staff expenses were about 90 million. However, if we look at the statement from the next year, 2022, we can see that they restated the expenses from 2019 and increased them all the way to 200 million. So at least to me, it seems like they started counting the salaries of all studios globally in this Rockstar Games UK Limited document.
Okay, so they restructured everything and then funneled it through there. I don't know the details of how UK like accounting laws and stuff work, but I could totally see it if they just wanted to funnel all of the expenses through the UK business so that they get the tax benefits in the UK as opposed to like the tax benefits in India or wherever. So I could see that. I'm not sure how many hoops they'd have to jump through for that, but that could be a part of it, is if they're just trying to restructure to save money on taxes. That's pretty common.
Even though the amount of employees is from studios from the UK, or it could be something like foreign bonuses, so like performance rewards, which won't include salaries. However, if we try to start figuring out the salaries of the other studios from outside the UK, we might accidentally end up double counting some numbers. So it's better to assume that this number is the total salaries and bonuses worldwide for all Rockstar Games studios. However, it probably excludes overhead costs for countries that are not the UK. So, for overhead costs in India, we can use the previous Glassdoor estimates. While for the US, I'm just gonna take the number of UK overhead costs, as in general they are bigger in the United States and Rockstar Games probably has more employees there. So taking the UK number is a very low estimate. I also had to estimate some salaries which aren't public yet. From April 1st, 2025 to the release of the game. I'm just gonna take the number from fiscal year 2024, which ended in 2025, multiply that by 1.5, so all of fiscal 26 and half of fiscal 27, and just add those numbers to the total count. So yellow highlights like this are estimates. Then some of the non-staff fees for Rockstar UK. And again, I'm assuming that this is for all of the studios in UK. Firstly, operating lease rentals, plant and machinery.
They have plants. Sorry, bad joke. I mean, I do think that this, obviously we're guesstimating on a lot of it. There's a lot of like little bitty tricks that are played in, I mean, tricks makes it sound dishonest. It's not. There's a lot of financial maneuvering that happens, you know. Yeah, exactly. Afterthought read my mind with the $10 super chat. The issue with using corporate tax documents for stuff like this is that you run into creative accounting and it's not realistic reflection of the money spent. Well, and you have to remember that for a lot of this, like there is a financial incentive to inflate the expense number on the like sheets that you're submitting for tax documentation. So like when I'm paying taxes, when any business is, you want, as far as taxes are concerned, for your expenses to be as high as physically possible, you know? You want, as far as the government is concerned, for your amount of raw profit to be as small as it can be, you know? That's the key. Because the lower that is, the lower your what's called tax liability is, and the better off you'll be. So obviously, like with this, yes, there's an incentive for the expense number to be as massive as possible, because that means it's saving money on taxes. Even if they got there by like playing some tricks, you know, doing stuff like that, that's totally fine. But that's the key. But when we're like estimating expenses, like at the end of the day, does it really matter if like they're playing a trick to get to a $2.7 billion number? They still got to the $2.7 billion number. You know, they still got there. So even if it's like maybe some expenses and some things were claimed that that maybe are like a little aggressive in terms of being claimed, it's still what's on the books. So it's still the expense, So even if there is tricks and, clever, creative financial accounting to get there, it still is how much on paper was spent on the game, So I think it still is fair and interesting. Real quick, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself in chat. Where did it go? Did it scroll past? I could have sworn I just saw him in chat. Hold on. Where did it go? There it is. No, don't apologize for your accent. Are you apologizing for your accent? How dare you? How dare you? Don't apologize for your accent. You're totally fine. You're crazy. No, you're totally good. Yes, Salco is in chat with us. Glad to have you here, my friend. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. This is my cup of tea. Let's see what else we've got. Oh my God. Auditors. I thought when I zoomed in, it was auditor's recommendation. Remuneration. That's a word. That's a bingo word for you right there. Remuneration. Bingo word. No, Scrabble word. That's what I meant.
This is only about
Bingo is a bingo word.
£40,000 annually, so it really doesn't matter. However, it's maybe something like a few leased company cars or a random piece of industrial equipment. Then, operating lease rentals, land and buildings. Now, these are big numbers, averaging at about 3 to 4 million annually. So these are basically your office rents. Basically, what they pay to rent Rockstar North or Rockstar London. This number does increase a lot. So either they got more office spaces somewhere, the rents increased, or they only gradually added the offices of other studios, Rockstar Leeds, Rockstar North, Rockstar Lincoln, to be paid through Rockstar Games UK.
Probably all of the above, honestly. Like it's probably all of the above.
Then, auditors' remunerations. So basically paying money to whoever made this document. Exchange losses aren't really losses, so I'm not including them in the...
Yeah, it's very common for big corporations to hire outside auditing firms. So like they'll hire an accounting firm to come in and audit their books. Because basically you want to be able to go to shareholders and say, no, our books are legit. We're not hiding money. We're not stealing money. These guys who are independent came in, audited everything. We're good. It also protects you against potential, audits from in the States. It would be the IRS, because, you can catch any problems before they happen. So that's pretty common. Net foreign exchange loss. This is what's fun when you get to international companies is you got to start figuring out how to juggle international currencies.
Calculation. Then leasehold improvements. So these are your structural renovations, like a new boiler room, if they want to tear down some walls, or install a new kitchen to one of the studios. Then computers and office equipments. That's basically self-explanatory. And
yeah, leasehold improvements. This is everything from, like he said, you want to put up some new walls to get some office space. You want to do new floors in the building. It's improvements to the leased building. It's pretty common. So every time like you go, like I just told you guys, when I went to try Saros early in Finland, we went to the Housemarque studio and they told us that they had just completed a renovation of the building. They had just like overhauled the lobby and a bunch of stuff like that. Those costs of renovating the lobby would be in leasehold improvements.
Then fixtures and fittings. This is basically just furniture. And yes, technically, most of these purchases are capital investments, but they are expenses during a year, so I'm going to count them into the total operating cost.
Yeah, and the only other thing to note with some of this stuff, like leases is pretty self-explanatory and all these, but a lot of equipment specifically, at least in the States, again, it might be different in the UK, but at least in the States, when you buy something, you will have depreciation to factor in. So like you buy a $10,000 workstation today, it's not worth $10,000 5 years from now, right? So there's certain tax laws across the globe. I'm not sure exactly how it works in the UK, but at least in the US, you can do things like depreciating that asset over time. And that's something where you can also see it tagged in the documentation for like an expense because you lost money equivalent to the depreciation of the asset. And so you can break it up long term like that. So there's a lot of ways that you could get to, bigger numbers, even if you're not physically burning through that cash. Things are depreciating so that you can see that also discounted. Unless you have a ton of PS5s. Yeah, in which case you gained money because it became more valuable. Yeah. Unless you had a stockpile of RAM. It's like I told you guys when I upgraded my PC, I had a couple of things to swap out there. Like I added more RAM and stuff like that. I did that, I think it was August, like mid-August or something. Within 4 weeks, my computer increased in value by like $2,000 just because of the RAM crisis. Like, it's actually stupid. That's what happens, baby.
Could calculate depreciation, so a loss of value for things, but I don't feel like that is necessary here.
Oh, he
so
read my
no
mind.
Depreciation.
I don't feel like it's necessary here. It's just hard to say because they don't break it down that finely in this documentation. And to be clear, I don't know exactly how it works in the UK. I guess I could do very quick research. In the UK, are there net operating loss carry forwards? And is there also tax protections for like depreciation for businesses on big assets? Let's see. Carry forwards. Your company can carry forward trading losses forward to deduct from profits from future accounting periods as the losses continue. Yes. Since April 2017, the deduction for carried forward losses is limited to 5 million plus 50% of qualifying profits exceeding that amount. You can also do carryback losses sometimes, which is tricky. Basically, like you'd be able to go back in time with the expenses from today, which is weird. Let's see. Tax protection for depreciation of assets. First year allowance in the UK allows for 100% deduction in the first year for specific items such as new, unused, energy-saving, environmentally friendly equipment. Annually investment allowance. Businesses can claim up to 100% tax relief on up to $1 million of qualifying expenditure on plant and machinery in a single year. So there's all sorts of different things that they could do. But the point is, again, if we go back to just what we said a few minutes ago, they have every incentive to make these numbers as big as they possibly can, okay? Because the bigger these numbers are, the smaller their tax bill is. So if you're running a business, you want these numbers to be big. They can get there in all sorts of clever ways, you know? But if we're just looking at what is the raw expense, then, you know, that's what they're claiming on the pen and paper at the end of the day. So, you know, even if they got there in a creative way, it still is what they are claiming on their documentation are the expenses.
Included here, only total cost of purchases. And one of these fees, I'm not sure which one, includes things like maintenance from outside contractors. So possibly your cleaning, handyman work, or boiler repairs. And the bottom two lines, once again, are estimates for 1.5 years. And these expenditures from April 1st, 2019, all the way up to November 9th, 2026, comes at the cost of 100 million, which is surprisingly little when we compare it to the staff expenditures, which we talked about previously, as they were 2,688,000,000 pounds. And if we add the staff and other expenditures together, we get 2,786,000,000 pounds once again, and in United States dollars, with the current exchange rate, we come to 3.6 billion US dollars. However, as the pound is currently relatively strong compared to the US dollar, the true amount is way less in USD. If I had to guess, it's somewhere around 3 billion. And of course, these numbers do not account for inflation. So if a real accountant did this, they should include foreign exchange rates and inflation. However, let's just go with the number of 3 billion from these expenses. Then we have the question of American, Canadian, and Indian overhead costs. Do we include them in the calculation? If we add them to the previous number, so assume that they are not included in the 3 billion, then there's an additional 700 to 800 million US dollars to the count. And of course, we have other expenses for the studios outside UK. So again, rent and computers and stuff. We can assume that that is about the same as the UK, even though the rents in the United States are probably higher. But let's just keep the numbers low. So that's another $130 million. Then I think there are two more large expenses which should be included in the calculations. First, of course, marketing. Wikipedia says that RDR2s was in between 200 and 300 million US dollars. So we should assume that it's at about $500 million US dollars, so 500 million. And then music licensing, which is probably less than people think, as we have proof that Rockstar is paying most artists only $7,500 USD per a song license. So if they wanna include above 1,000 songs, and of course some licenses are going to be more expensive than that.
Yeah, I do remember this guy. Do you guys remember this guy? Martin Ware. I was recently contacted by my publishers on behalf of Rockstar Games regarding the possibility of using Temptation on the new GTA 6. Naturally, he was excited about the immense wealth that was about to head my way. Scrolled to the bottom of the email for the offer. It was $7,500 for a buyout of any future royalties from the game forever. To put this in context, GTA 6 gross, I think he meant $8.6 billion. But think of the exposure. Go F yourself. I get that. But like literally do think of the exposure. Like, I feel like he just said the thing. Think of the exposure. Like I get it's not, you don't have to take the deal. Like nobody's saying you have to. But I have a feeling that when GTA 6 launches, you may be regretting that opportunity because that's a big deal. So I'm with you on this stuff with music licensing and all this. I think again, it mainly just comes down to the expenses for those UK employees. It's crazy.
8,500. So my minimum estimate for song licensing is 10 million and the maximum about 100 million. So, my final estimates. We have the absolute low number with only confirmed fees from Rockstar Games UK Limited. All of that is going to be in pound sterling. Then there's my own minimum estimate. That's going to be in USD. And then there's going to be my high estimate. So what I want you to take away from this video is the minimum official amount and my low estimate. But also keep in mind how expensive the game could be. So, the minimum estimate for Rockstar Games operating costs from April 1st, 2019, the start of fiscal year 2020, to the release of GTA 6 on November 19th, 2026, is the previously stated 2,786,000,000 UK pounds. So the game budget is definitely 2.5 billion, way more than the previous estimate of 2 billion. That's the main point of this video, that the $2 billion is a way low estimate. Then my low estimate in US dollars. Expenses that have gone through Rockstar Games UK Limited, so most likely global salaries and other fees for all UK studios, is 3 billion US dollars, with exchange rates favoring the pound. Then other expenses outside UK have been listed as $130 million. I have excluded the possible overhead costs outside UK in this estimate, as they might be included in the 3 billion of salaries. Then a low estimate for marketing costs, 300 million USD, and song licensing at $10 million, which brings the total of the low estimate to slightly under 3.5 billion US dollars. And as previously stated, this number is possibly missing some outside UK salaries, all outside UK overhead costs, and probably other costs outside the UK. But this is the number I want to take away from here. 3.5 billion US dollars for total operating costs of Rockstar Games from 2019 to the release of GTA 6. Of course, this number does include things like dev work for GTA Online and RDR2 Online, and of course customer service, which works for both of those. However, I'm assuming that those fees are negligible, as currently there are probably less than 20 people working on GTA Online. If you want, you can...
Well, I mean, it is one of those things where, like, even if you say that it costs 100 million, over the years, sneeze. Excuse me, that snuck up on me. Even if you say that, it's like 100 million or 200 million over the last few years to run those things. It's not purely negligible. Like, it's still a lot of money, but it doesn't really change the fact that we're talking in the realm of, billions and billions. And this is one thing where, like, we do see numbers listed for, employment costs for individual companies and like wages and salaries. They outline all of this stuff. Social security costs and things, pension costs. And I would assume that like all American taxes for the American employees are being spent and those expenses are being paid. Are those being funneled back into the UK company? They shouldn't be able to double claim them. So like, if you claim the expenses for American employees, I don't think you can double claim them on the UK statements. That wouldn't work. So, you got to pay the taxes in the parent country. I mean, even if we're in the realm where like you're off by 500 million, you're still, again, like still talking in the realm of like 3 billion.
GTA 6. Of course, this number does include things like dev work for GTA Online and RDR2 Online, and of course customer service, which works for both of those. However, I'm assuming that those fees are negligible, as currently there are probably less than 20 people working on GTA Online. If you want, you can take like 1 or 200 millions away from that number. Still, it's gonna be more than $3 billion. And then the high estimate, for which you can see the numbers here, with the current US dollar exchange rate, but without inflation, comes out as over $5 billion US dollars. But
yeah, and to be clear, when he's mentioning inflation, it's because like these numbers, like if you wrote off $200 million in 2019, that is a different value in 2019, like when you see that number, compared to if you wrote off 200 million today, you know? So the numbers are just, when you adjust everything for inflation from that earliest time, you know, the numbers will be even scarier. But at some point, I mean, the primary message is that for a game like GTA 6, you're probably talking in the realm of $3+ billion total, especially after all the delays. Because bear in mind, the original rumored budget was about $2 billion. And it was originally supposed to launch in like the expected launch, was it early 2025 was the original launch date, was when it was expected, like May of 25, I think. It was somewhere in there. And when you push it back by like a year or two, that adds up real quick. Late 25, is that what they said in the first trailer? Was it late 25 or just 2025? It was fall 2025. I forget what exactly they had on the splash screen, but if it's fall 2025, you know, it gets pushed back by like a full year. That's still, for a company this massive, that's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I thought it was March 2025. Do I need to check? We'll do it live. F it, we'll do it live. Hold on. GTA 6 announcement trailer. Posted 2 years ago, circa December 4th, 2023. Yeah, they just said 2025. Because I vaguely remember people were expecting maybe it's coming in like May of 2025. People thought it was like 6 months away. When they revealed this, they're like, oh, within 6 months we'll get it. And then it was like, no, probably late 2025. Or no, not 6 months, like 18 months. Because it's December 4th, 2023 is when it dropped. So they revealed it like a full year. So people were thinking it's 18 months away. So May of 2025. But anyway, the point is, after some delays and, you know, things being pushed back, it just kind of steadily made it more and more expensive, which is crazy.
But that's an extremely high estimate. So I think the total operating costs globally for Rockstar Games for the development of GTA 6 is going to be in between 3 billion and 4 billion US dollars. And I would love if other people actually checked out the numbers too, and if a real accountant counted the Rockstar Games UK numbers more properly, as again, I don't have any accounting experience. And hey, if my estimates are wrong, at least we proved that the budget is more than £2 billion. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think, and there's always going to be some level of pedantry you can get into where it's like, well, actually, they have the online game is a separate project than the single player. So the single player budget is 1.5 billion, but the online is 2.5 billion. Like, of course we can do that type of thing. But I think when people think of GTA 6, they think of the big package, the overall thing. And that, I think it's very fair to say that it's somewhere between like $2.5 and $3.5 billion at this point, when all is said and done, which kind of makes sense because you're talking about a studio with thousands of employees around the globe that have been working on this since like 2019. And that's a while. And it's very expensive, you know, especially when you're talking about world-class talent that you have to pay really well in order to get them to work with you, you know, because you want the best possible thing. So I think we're in the ballpark. Like, as for like whether this is like the official number, I'm sure that the actual number is like a bit tweaked. It's probably like, oh, the real number is 2.15 because we spun off the expenses for this, and then this is covered by that, and then we have this that we're carrying forward over there. But the point is, GTA 6 is stupid freaking expensive, and this type of game is insanely massive, and outrageously expensive. So I think that, you know, That's the main takeaway. But when we look at stuff like this, I have to just show you snippets because Rockstar being Rockstar, if I just let it play, they will try to strike the video because that's what they do now. But overall, I think that the game is going to make the money back. Like, I don't think it'll have any trouble doing that. I think I think GTA 5 sold like 10 million copies in a day. Like, it's outrageous. So it's going to make the money back, but it's just one of those games that is a once in a generation console generation type of release. There's no other studio and publisher that's willing to bet this much money on a project like this. Because bear in mind, in all of gaming, the whole industry, you have to remember that, like, we're not looking at things in a vacuum. If investors and companies are looking at where to put money, they have a bunch of options. And often, you know, they might look for a 10% return annually or a 20% return annually on their money. And when you're looking at something like GTA 6, you're talking about spending billions of dollars, locking up the money for 6, 7, 8, 9 years at a time before the next big release. And in order to do that, it's also, for any other company, considered extremely high risk. Because, you know, if Ubisoft spent $2 billion on Assassin's Creed, GTA, whatever, it might make a lot of money. It might also not, you know, it might get caught up in its own controversy and flop. Like, there's no company in the world that is willing to take this kind of a bet and to put this many chips on black, you know? It is incredibly rare to see a company willing to put that much money up for something like this. But when you see it, you know, Rockstar, that's why they're just kind of different. They're just kind of different at this point. 6, 7. Exactly. The pre-orders alone could amount to 20 million copies. Yeah. Do I think it's going to cost 70? I think so. Strauss Zelnick did an interview recently where he was talking, and, you know, they're going back and forth on stuff. And the interviewer asked him, do you think that there's an opportunity for like advertising within games? So you think GTA 6, you're driving through the city and you see like the, you know, the billboard panel with ads. What if you actually sold those ads? What if actually Mountain Dew paid you to put in all of those billboards a Mountain Dew ad, and you sell long-term advertising within the game to players or to companies that are advertising to the players? And he said, I just don't see how that could work. You know, with some company or with some games like NBA, we can do that because players kind of expect advertising there. But when we're talking about a game, you know, other games, he said, I don't think audiences would be okay with that if they're paying, you know, $70 or $80, or I think he said 80 or 90, but he was around $80. And so a lot of people thought that that was him slipping and saying that it was going to be $80, which is the top of the line, like full AAA pricing. So my guess is that they probably are going to launch it at $79.99 US. I still think they're going to do an early access thing, like a 5-day early access or something. And it's going to be, if you want that version, it's like $120 or $129.99 or something like that. If you want early access and you don't want to be seen as a brokey, you've got to spend the money. You know, that's kind of what I'm expecting. So, and I think, again, like, there's a lot of people out there who are like, I would just wait, bro. There are millions and millions and millions of players out there who will pay more. Like, a lot more. Okay. Like, I guarantee you, you may be willing to sit on the sidelines for 5 days, but the hype level for this will be so insane, especially in the casual market, that they will pay an extra $50 or $60 to play it early. Like, I point to it often because it's so insane, but you remember back when Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was launching, I found this guy on Twitter who was calling people brokies for complaining that it was $70. He was calling people brokies, being like, suck it up, pay it, you brokey. You can't afford $70 for a brand new Warner Brothers game? How dare you? He's calling people brokies, making fun of them for not having money. If people were willing to do that over Suicide Squad, can you even begin to fathom the amount of peer pressure and bullying that will happen over this game? Like, every high school, every college, everything is going to be dominated over the discourse surrounding GTA 6. You didn't get early access? Wow. Okay. Broke alert. Like, it's going to be toxic as hell, but that's going to be the thing, dude. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be crazy. It's like $1.99 now. Still probably too much. Yeah, you remember those days. So I just think like I get it. There's some people who don't understand the GTA hype and this is just not their kind of game. That is totally fine. But bro, just because it's not for you, don't let that cloud your evaluation of the situation. GTA 6 will be a game on a scale that we have just never seen before. It is different. Like, it's just different. It's crazy. So I think it will make the money back. That's why I think they can afford to spend as much as they've spent on it. But it just reiterates that they need this to land. They could have dropped it maybe last May. They could have probably, but it wouldn't have been ready. It would have been maybe buggy, wouldn't have run particularly well. Maybe, they would have to cut some quest lines and stuff. It would have worked, but they can't afford for it to be good enough. It has to live up to those expectations and the hype. And that's why they're delaying it and spending billions on it at the end of the day. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the budget in total for the online and single player at this point is somewhere over the $3 billion mark when all is said and done, especially factoring in marketing costs. I think they very easily get there. And Rockstar Games, again, bear in mind, traditional marketing for games like this, or for games like AAA games, is usually like, oh, you get some streamers to come out and try your game. Oh, we'll go and we'll get... we'll maybe do a preview event and we'll do some commercials on Twitch and we'll do some TikTok videos and stuff like that. For GTA 6, every gamer on the planet knows about it. The key and where it's really going to blow up is when they can get the casual gamer that's been out of the game for years to come back. When they can get the dude that works in the oil fields to go buy a PS5 to play it. When he can get the guy that played GTA 5 a bunch back in high school or college, and then they come back and they buy a PS5, they maybe they're working as a lawyer or something, and they're like, actually, I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to get together with my buddies. We're going to play it again. That's where this game really explodes, because this is the game that's going to pierce the mainstream veil. Not just pierce it, it's going to rip it open. Okay. You remember back, one of my bellwethers is usually South Park. Like, you remember how when Red Dead 2 launched, there were episodes of South Park about them playing it and about the kids playing it, and Randy and the police officer, not the sheriff, the police chief, playing Red Dead 2 and everything. That's the kind of success that you'll see with this. Like, it's going to be massive and it's going to pierce that veil. As for how they're going to market it, I think they might do some of the more traditional stuff, but my guess is that they're not going to do a lot of, I think they'll actually do surprisingly little gaming focused marketing. Like, I don't think, for example, they're going to do a preview event where they bring Luke Stevens out to try the game early. I don't think they're going to do that. They know I'm going to talk about the game regardless. They know. Why would they pay money to do an event or sponsor people to play the game when they know damn well you'll do it for free? Why would they do that? What they will do, I think, is that they'll get like Snoop Dogg to play the game while high as a kite on a yacht somewhere. And they'll get Oprah to talk about it. And they're going to do weird, wacky, viral stuff. And, a lot of it's going to be bizarre, I'm sure. They're going to be like, hey, yeah, we put the game on a console and took it up to the ISS. Let astronauts play it early. It's the only way we could avoid leaks. Play it in space. Like, I think that is where they're going to go. And they've already alluded to it. I think it was Strauss himself was saying that they are revving up for the marketing campaign this summer. So I'm expecting probably July it kicks off. And he said that, like, when we start doing that, we are really excited about some of the stuff we have planned for really novel and interesting marketing that people have never seen before, which I pray to God does not mean we're just doing a bunch of Mr. Beast videos. I hope that's not what they mean, but never say never. But overall, my guess is it's going to be a lot of like just insane what is even happening right now kind of marketing. That's my guess. Sorry, I apologize. My dog is barking. There is a delivery man dropping off a package, and Romeo thinks the world is ending. He's like, "Oh my God, Dad, come help, Dad." You've jinxed it into existence now, Luke. Yeah, probably. Honestly, now that I say Mr. Beast GTA 6 crossover, I would not be surprised if that's happening now. God damn it. I hope not, but that would be so stupid. Because then I'm going to have to watch a Mr. Beast video on stream. Wouldn't that be the cruelest irony of all of this? Wouldn't that be so freaking hilarious if that's how this ends? If that's where we end up with all of this. GTA 6 was great, but I had to watch a Mr. Beast video, so I'm pretty bummed about it, honestly. Anyway, good video from Sako. I think overall you're in the right ballpark. I think there's probably like some little tidbits and things where like you could probably find a few holes to poke in it, and it's like, oh well, maybe I don't know if they're double claiming U.S. expenses or if that's stacked here. But that's the thing, is even if you find $500 million to cut off of the estimate, we're still in the realm of billions and billions. Okay, so broad strokes, whether your glasses have your vision sharp or blurry, it's still crazy expensive. So I think that's the main takeaway. Link to video, yes, absolutely, I can share it with you. Go give Sacco some love, and here I can do it this way and go from there. PC port when? I think the PC port is realistically probably dropping in like a year and a half. Historically with Rockstar, again, we say that, but that really only means 2 releases. It's like GTA 5 and Red Dead. But at least in those instances, Rockstar dropped the PC port roughly, I think it was 18 months after the fact. I think with GTA 5 or Red Dead 2, we can check real quick. We'll do it live. With Red Dead 2, release on PS4 and Xbox One on October 26th, 2018, and then on Windows, November of 2019, and then Stadia shortly after. But it was a full year later for Red Dead 2. So I would guess it's probably similar for for GTA 6. It's probably similar, you know. That's my guess. Yeah, look at this. It broke several sales record, had the second biggest launch in the history of entertainment, generating 725 million in sales from its opening weekend and exceeding the lifetime sales of Red Dead Redemption 1 in 2 weeks. Yeah, it sold 82 million copies. As for this GTA 5 sales, within 24 hours of its release, GTA 5 generated 815 million in worldwide revenue, equating to roughly 11 million copies sold in 24 hours. This was all the way back in 2013. 2013. The industry is way bigger today than it was in 2013. Way bigger. And so just imagine the scale we're talking about now. In September of 2013, they sold 11 million in 24 hours. 2026 with digital distribution, with pre-orders. In 2013, most of those copies were physical, okay? Most of those copies were people buying a physical copy of the game. Nowadays, people just pre-order it, download it. Like, I think we are... dude, we're talking 25 million, 30 million day one. Yeah, whatever number you think, they could go higher, I think. Like, it will just on a fundamental and foundational level be different. Like, no joke. I have said before, I think there will be a quantifiable hit on the electrical grid when GTA 6 launches, because I think tons of people, I think there will be a mark where like businesses are having to shut down like it's a national emergency because so many people are calling out of work for launch day. I think so many young men especially will be calling out and all of a sudden get sick and have to stay home. I think you'll see internet infrastructure buckle because people are trying to download the game at the last possible minute. Hopefully they do preloading, but we'll see. Like I think it will be such a massive release that it will be like somebody said earlier that it will cause the government to to like, or it'll cause the world to go and stand still. Unironically, like I think it actually will be a beat where it's going to be like, you know, COVID lockdowns when those happen and no cars are on the streets. I think it'll be kind of like that for a day or two. Yeah. How many people bought a PS5? That's how much GTA 5 or GTA 6 will sell. Well, assuming they aren't going to buy PS6s in the weeks leading up to GTA 6 or when they buy GTA 6. Like, you better believe Sony is revving up production to make sure they can meet the demand. Like, that's going to happen. Why do you think Sony just raised the price of the consoles? Why not? If they know you're going to buy a PS5 for GTA 6, why not charge you an extra $100? You're going to pay it and you're going to like it. That's their approach. They're like, we know you want GTA 6, so you're going to suck it up and you're going to like it. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be crazy and outrageous, but I'm expecting the marketing cycle to kick off probably in July. They've said this summer is what Strauss said specifically. So I think that probably it's summer. I think launching in June, the marketing campaign would be surprising, but never say never. But we'll see. Real quick breaking news just for everybody who might have missed it. It just dropped. Eidos Montreal is laying off 124 developers, and the head of the studio, David Infonsi, is leaving as well. I do feel for them. They just have struggled to get that like one big hit. Guardians of the Galaxy was fantastic, but Guardians of the Galaxy is such a bizarre instance of a game that like people forget, but this launched shortly after the Avengers game, and the Avengers game was like weird live service multiplayer, wasn't anything like anybody wanted. It just was like not very good. And of course, like now it's completely dead. You can't even buy it anymore. But because of that, people thought that this was also a live service multiplayer game. I think this is an example of a game that just had terrible marketing, little to no marketing. And the marketing they did have was terrible. And as a result, people just misunderstood what it was. If you've not played Guardians of the Galaxy, play it. It's very good. It's very, very good. But it just did not get the love it needed. It could have really like pushed to them and found them a lot of success, but they just chose not to market it. And so people concluded it was going to be more Avengers, and then they're like, wait, so this sucks. It's just stupid. But it's sad to see, but they've struggled to find like a big hit to really help them pay the bills, and it seems like that's what's happening here. Yeah, Tomb Raider, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're a very talented studio. It's just they've struggled to have that one big, commercial success, which is kind of what you need nowadays. Let's see. Guardians was so good. Took me a year to play it because of how bad Avengers was. Well, exactly. A lot of people just didn't know what the game was because they just didn't market it. If they had, I really think it could have been one of the biggest games of that year, unfortunately. Dude, the studio head is going too. That doesn't happen. It happens. Last time, I think most recently it happened was Project Blackbird with ZeniMax Online. You remember they shut down that multiplayer game. Phil Spencer shut it down, and it was going to be like their next big MMO thing. And they shut that game down, and the studio head was so pissed that he left too. He like quit out of a matter of protest. You make a video on it? Oh yeah. But it was just kind of too little too late, in order to get a game like that to get the recognition it needs like a global marketing campaign. One YouTube video won't really do it. But yeah, this does happen, but often it's when the studio head or the game director is like so pissed about the direction it's going, or is quitting as a matter of protest to show like, I'm not happy with what you're doing, and with these decisions. So that's usually how it happens. It's too bad. But okay. Let's see what they said exactly. Yeah, Eidos Montreal is announcing a reduction in its workforce and the departure of head of studio. The reduction in workforce affecting 124 employees is a result of changing project needs and impacts across production and support teams. Today is a difficult day for our studio and reflects the need to adapt and concentrate efforts where Eidos Montreal can be most effective. We are deeply grateful to the team members impacted. This decision is not reflective of their talent, dedication, or performance. Supporting those impacted with care and respect remains our priority while ensuring continuity for the teams moving forward. Also, after many years as head of the studio, David Alfonsi and Eidos Montreal are also parting ways. We thank David for his contributions and wishing him the best. This to me usually shows that the head of the studio is like, this was not his idea. You know, he didn't want to do this. So I get the vibe that he's leaving as a point of protest. Maybe not. Maybe he got a bonus and is retiring. You know, he's like, if I fire 120 people and I leave, can I get a bonus? And they're like, sure, maybe that's what it is. But I'm guessing, if I had to put money on it, I'm guessing that he's quitting because he's upset about it. That's my guess. But there you go. Also, just a heads up, don't get your hopes up. The DRAM crisis may start to alleviate in the next couple of weeks and months. Okay. Don't get your hopes up, but if you've missed it, basically, long story short, Sam Altman, a lot of other guys in the AI space promised to buy up a lot of RAM and promised to buy up a lot of like SSDs and data center infrastructure, right? They made commitments in the realm of hundreds of billions of dollars, right? And because they had those orders, those companies that manufacture RAM were like, okay, we're not going to sell to you guys for, you know, a 64 gigabyte pack of RAM because we have this order for a bajillion sticks of RAM from Sam Altman for $50 billion. So we're going to go with him. You can get effed, right? That was what was happening. Well, that works if they actually follow through on their orders and actually do what they need to do. What's been happening, though, is there are rumblings in the market that there's a bit of a liquidity issue with a lot of these big AI companies. Whether you look at Microsoft, you know, and the pressure they're receiving to not spend more money on AI stuff until they can actually make money with it, or OpenAI being the biggest offender of this. And in the last 4 to 5 days, especially over the weekend, there's been more information coming out suggesting that OpenAI may actually be canceling and backing out of some of their commitments to acquire some of the RAM and infrastructure that they previously thought they were going to get. What does that do? It causes manufacturers of like DRAM and semiconductors and stuff to take an absolute beating in the market. In the last 5 days, Micron alone is down almost 20%. Today, since market open, they're down 9%. And this is in part because a lot of these orders seem to be drying up. So companies like Micron started to pivot away from consumer electronics and distribution because they thought that the all-money behemoth of OpenAI would just buy up all of their inventory and all of their manufacturing capacity. But OpenAI can only do that if they're getting $100 billion from Microsoft. But Microsoft can only do that if their investors and their board and everybody else agrees that this is what they should be doing. Problem is, Microsoft is kind of having a rough go of it too, because Microsoft has spent crazy amounts of money on AI infrastructure and seen very little return from it. And so just in the last month, their stock is down 10%. And if you go back 6 months, Microsoft is down 30 to 31%. This is all while they're putting in hundreds of billions of dollars of spending. And so what's starting to happen, it seems, I don't want to say the bubble is popping, but I think it's deflating, okay? Because what's starting to happen is it's pretty clear. Microsoft investors don't want them to spend more money on AI until they can demonstrate that they can make money with it. It doesn't make sense to spend $100 billion on something if you can't make money with it. Shocker. breaking news. If you're going to spend money in business, you need to be able to make money too. You can't just spend it. It's literally like the meme of you got to spend money to make money. And then they just forget that second part. That's literally what they're doing. So what appears to be happening is that companies like Microsoft are now telling OpenAI, hey, let's take a break. We're not breaking up. I just need some time for me. That's what's happening. And OpenAI has all of these commitments in the realm of hundreds of billions of dollars that all of a sudden they are struggling to find funding for. Because everybody's starting to realize this doesn't really make a lot of sense. What just happened the other day? Well, you remember, I'm sorry, this is going to be a flashbang. Prepare your eyes. The Verge is going crazy with this color scheme. Ready? Oh, God. I'm sorry. I warned you. So you remember the video generation thing that OpenAI was doing? Well, it was called Sora, and it apparently took too much compute. And so they decided to shut it down fully. They're actively shutting down services they had, and it's because they were operating at massive losses, hemorrhaging money and all sorts of assets and things. And as a result, they couldn't afford to do it anymore. They couldn't afford it. And so they had to pivot off. And yeah. So as you can see, ChatGPT announced it would wind down $1 billion Disney deal. Disney is also backing out of their deal that they had with OpenAI. They were previously working with OpenAI, and the new CEO came in after Bob Iger left, and he apparently is reevaluating all of those AI deals. So OpenAI just lost the big Disney deal. It would shuffle the role of high-level executive, would raise an additional $10 billion from investors, adding up to $120 billion for its total in the latest funding round. It's now in a frenzy to turn a profit, or at least lose less money, which is... It's just, again, it's amazing that we're in an age where it's like, what is your goal as a company? To lose less money. Oh, so you mean make a profit? I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. We're trying to lose less money. But you don't want to make money? No, we just want to lose less than we are right now. We'll still be losing money, but we'll lose less of it. Money, please. That's literally how this is working. It's crazy. But what's happening now is that with the market seeing more broadly that this might start to dry up. The coffers are running low, and there's not a lot of money coming back in to order more of these wafers and to build out the infrastructure, and that they're going to have to do it much more slowly and gradually. You're seeing these market corrections where you're seeing, the stock price of companies like Micron just plummeting 20, 21, 22%, which is wild to see. And so I think realistically, we will see continued adjustments, and it'll be probably still a number of weeks or even months before there are clear signs of which direction this is going. But I think the bubble is starting to deflate because the money is just not flowing the way that it was. For a solid year and a half, 2 years, everybody was just spending money with each other and then committing to spend that same money with the other person. And it was just money in a loop. We're Microsoft invests in OpenAI with 100 billion. OpenAI says they're going to invest in Nvidia with 100 million. And then Nvidia says they'll invest 100 million into Microsoft. It's the same money going in a circle, but it makes investors think, oh, we're getting bigger. And it just went nowhere. And now it's finally starting to we're getting a bit of a wake up call. The technical term for this, I know I usually use this to set up, a joke, but there is an actual term for this, which is a market correction is the technical term. It's typically defined as a drop of more than 10% in the value of a stock index. Corrections end when stock attain new highs. Stock market corrections are often measured retrospectively from recent highs to their lowest closing price. Each correction is different, but corrections have historically been shorter, sharper, and steeper than bear markets, which are typically defined as sustained drops of more than 20%. It's not clear if we're just in a correction, which is what it seems to be right now, or if we're going to actually go into a full-on, bear market and recession, but it does seem like there are some adjustments being made. What I think we're going to start to see is probably a couple of studios, or not studios, a couple of manufacturers may start to see the writing on the wall that maybe the industrial stuff is not where you should be putting all of your chips. And you'll start to see maybe some pumping of the brakes. You'll see some companies being like, hey, we've allocated 40% of our output back to consumer electronics. Because at this point, dude, at least as far as I can tell, if a company comes out and if there's a set of RAM that currently sells for 400, maybe, you know, a year ago it was selling for 175. But if a company comes out today and says, we're going to do it for 200, it's more expensive than it was a year ago, but it is not the insane price it is now. I think they sell out instantly and they make a hefty profit and some good money. I think you'll start to see some manufacturers starting to do that. So I think we may start in the next, month to 2 months. I think we'll start to see the craziness of the DRAM crisis settle a little bit as a lot of those long-term commitments from these data centers start to fall through. Because I think some of the companies that ordered it literally can't afford it. They don't have the money to pay for it, which is going to be interesting. May save the Steam Machine. It still probably pushes the Steam Machine into later this year, but it could make it much more viable. I also think it's going to be fascinating to see, like, let's say hypothetically, thought experiment, fast forward 6 months, DRAM crisis is pretty much settled. OpenAI is imploding. They can't afford anything. So all the DRAM infrastructure is kind of back to normal, at least somewhat. Once that happens, I'm going to challenge you guys. Okay. It's going to be a 1 or a 2 in chat. 1, do you think console manufacturers, PlayStation and Xbox, do you think they lower prices back down permanently? So they go from 900 for the Pro down to like 699 or something. 1, if they do drop prices. 2, if they do not. What do you think? 1, if they drop prices. 2, if they don't. I see a lot of 2s. I see a lot of 2s. I think you're probably right. The one case where this maybe doesn't happen that way is if they do release, like, PS5 Pro comes out at $799 or whatever it is, $899. Jesus. Every time I say it, I'm taking it back. And if people genuinely do not buy it, that is the only way this works, okay? We have collective bargaining power in the sense that if we do not buy something, they don't make money. And if they don't make money, their investors get upset with them. And we'll say, hey, yeah, our margins aren't great if we sell it at $750, but at least we're selling it, period. Making $5 a unit is better than making 0 on 0 units, that's how it works. So I think if we all collectively don't spend the money on the spiked ones, then you could see a change and you could see them adjust to it. But if they set the new price anchor higher and people are still buying it, then it will become the new normal. And even though DRAM prices drop and manufacturing goes down, you won't see any sort of pricing correction from the big guys. I think the exception being like the Steam Machine. Because I think Valve is chill enough that, like, they're not going to try to push for a 40% margin on that thing. Blue Dragon says, dude, but imagine if Steam Machine is much lower than the competitors, that might force it. I can see Valve selling them lower so they can get people into their ecosystem. I could see that. I don't think they're going to absorb any cost on it. It's like, I don't think they'll sell it at a loss. But I think the Steam Machine, based on my understanding of it and the next-gen Xbox, I think it affects the next-gen Xbox more than it affects the PS6, for example. Because the Steam Machine is all about, you can play PC games on your TV, right? You can play your Steam library right there on your TV. Like having a PC plugged right in, right? That's basically what the next-gen Xbox is going to be, as far as I understand it. I don't think PlayStation is that worried about it, because I think for PlayStation, they're going to rely more on exclusives. But yeah, I think it would worry Xbox a lot more. So maybe it pushes, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the trick, though, because it would be a secondary effect, right? Like if the Steam Machine, let's say, launches at $499 and it competes with the Xbox lower tier version that they were going to price at $800. And so they're like, okay, well now we have to release it also at $499. And if we're going to do that, we have to pull the price of all this other stuff down by like $200-300. So maybe our next gen console launches at like $799 instead of $1099, right? And then PlayStation is like, well, damn it, we were going to launch at $999 for PS6. Well, we got to compete, so we'll launch our PS6 at $799 as well. Then everything gets pulled down, and it all started with the Steam machine pulling Xbox down, which then pulls PlayStation down. That could help. That could help. But again, it goes back to competition. That's why even if you are the most diehard PlayStation fan, you should be rooting for a healthy Xbox. You should be rooting for a healthy Steam ecosystem, because that is how you get better pricing and better consumer offerings. Competition. That's the key. At the end of the day, it's competition. That's the key. That's what it takes. Come on, Steam. My wallet hurts. They know. Gabe's going to be gentle. Don't worry. Gabe's going to be gentle. Lucius, good to see you. Hello, chat. Nice to be here. Hello from sunny Costa Rica. What's going on? Dude, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. It's actually pretty warm here. It's a nice day here in Colorado, but I've never been to Costa Rica, but when I was in like the Bahamas, loved it. Loved it. I'm a beachy guy. That's what I learned. If there is a place I can go and get a pina colada, I am a happy camper. I'm a happy camper. I need a pina colada though. Weirdly, in my brain, it doesn't feel like a vacation if there's no pina colada. Like I could go, I love Finland. Finland's great. The Finnish people are great. I have a lot of extended family from Finland. It's great. Great people. Love them. The best people. But, dude, they are all about gin. Like all about gin. If I smell gin, if I smell that juniper smell, dude, it makes me so nauseous so quickly. It's horrible. It's horrible. I can't with it. Gin is good. Yeah, I drank a lot of too much gin in college. I think that's why now it's like my, I think that's why, because I went too hard with gin in college. I can't do it. If I smell it, it makes me like nauseous, like actively upset. Tequila. Well, I'm a tequila guy. Weirdly, in college, I hated tequila. Now I'll be that guy at the restaurant that orders the tequila like margarita flight. They bring me out like 4 or 5 shot glasses, each with a different little margarita in it, with all different types. I also specifically I like mezcal. Jacob, for I think it was my birthday, Jacob got me a bottle of the mezcal that Bryan Cranston made. What is it? Los Hombres Tequila. Yeah, this one. Loading. Come on. Yeah, Los Hombres. Jacob got me a bottle of this. It's very good, honestly. It's a vibe. Los Pollos Hermanos? Yeah. Yeah. It's very good. It's very good. Yeah, I'm all about mezcal now. And a lot of people think when I order a mezcal, they're like, "Oh, so you smoke?" I'm like, "No. I don't smoke. I don't like smoking smoke. I don't like inhaling smoke, but I like things that taste smoky. You know, I like a smoky steak or something like that. But yeah, I can't do that. Rum all day. I'll do rums, but I can't do spiced rum. Spiced rum also went too hard in college, and now I can't even smell it. But like girly drink, like a Malibu or something, I'm all in for that, dude. If it's pink and glowing with style, and it's like, 900 calories, it's basically the Starbucks of cocktails, I probably will love it. I'm gonna be real. Reverse coffee, I love the smell but don't like the taste. That's fair. You should try though. You should try. If you like the smell of coffee but not the taste, you probably don't like the acidity. And so what you should do is you should look for a company that does like clover press coffee. They're very, very good, but they're very weird. Where is it? Come on, show me. Yeah, so some like Starbucks will do it. I think this is it. But yeah, clover presses are really good because they are, it's like a super dark coffee, but it doesn't have the acidity of a dark coffee, you know? So it gets you the taste that matches the smell without that weird like acidic bit to it. It's very good. It's very good. Yeah. Also the smell of toast. Yeah, I love the smell of toast all the time. Yeah. Burnt toast specifically. Yep. Yep. Luke, I'm Mexican American, but I'm a once in a lifetime person who doesn't like spicy food. My family and friends laugh at me because I don't like spicy food. That is a little funny. That is a little funny, but you know, I respect it. I respect it. Stand on principle. If you don't like it, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I might also make fun of you, but it's fine. It's up to you. You know? I like the smell of plain uncooked bread. Well, fresh bread has an amazing smell. There's no denying that, but this is when somebody comes in and joins the stream and it's like, what is he talking about? Look at, bread smells good. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I don't care. Cancel me. I don't care. Bread. I'm a fan of bread. I think bread is good. Come at me. Okay, let me catch up on these real quick. Okay, let me catch up on these real quick. Okay, RPG Veteran with the 5. I ordered the Expanse of Cyrus Reborn Miller pack, just about to play the beta next month. Am I crazy? Dude, I'm looking forward to the beta. I want to try it too. Beta! I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. I think it looks awesome. Moon with the 5 also. Currently addicted to clotheslining enemies in Crimson Desert and slamming trees on enemies. Yeah, dude, there's a couple of boss fights where if you slam it with a tree, it's like a one shot. it's like a little broken. They probably need to patch it, honestly, because it does break a lot of boss fights. But yeah, there's some where you can like straight up just destroy it. It's very funny. Let's see. Afterthought, thank you for the 10. The issues with using corporate tax documents for stuff like this is you run into creative accounting. That's not a realistic reflection of money spent. Like we said earlier, and thank you for the 10 again. But like I said earlier, that definitely does happen. But when you're asking like, what is the budget for X game? You are kind of still asking what is on their balance sheet? Like, what are they writing down? What is the cost for them of making the game on paper? And so even if they're getting to a certain number in a creative way, you know, that is still what they're claiming on their taxes. That's still what is officially the number, you know. Jen Shazam, thank you for that. Very generous 10, thank you. Hey Luke, did you see the recent PC Gamer article about Star Wars Zero Company? Seems like an interesting mix of XCOM and Mass Effect. Video got me really interested rather. I did see that video. We didn't look at it on stream, but I did want to follow up with that because it does seem interesting what they're trying to do. So yeah, we'll circle back to it. I want to do like maybe a deep dive on it and figure out how exactly it works and how they set it up. But yeah, it does look honestly really, really interesting. Yeah, the chapter 6 final boss was 2 shot by the pillars in his arena. Yeah. Well, there's one, I won't be specific. There's one boss in a sky island where you would not think you can use a tree, but there's a tree on the side of the arena. And if you cut it down and slam it on him, it is a literal one shot, like full health to dead with one tree slam, which is really funny. Kyle Cuts Vids, thank you for the 5. Cold Fusion's OpenAI is suddenly in trouble video on the topic is highly recommended. Thank you for the coverage. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, they do awesome stuff, Cold Fusion. Hello, my queen. Do you want to say hi? Oh, wait, I'll check my phone. Yes, if you would like to. Do you know the place? No. There, it's this one. Not but. Quickly, Nikki, tell everybody, what do you think of the RAM crisis?
Like the animal.
Yeah, what's going on with rams? Tell us about the ram animal problem.
I'm partial to the mountain goat, frankly. That's yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it, but I am partial. I think they're cute.
So just recap, I asked Nikki what she thinks of the RAM crisis, and she said she's partial to mountain goats and the like. So honestly, fair. But yeah, that is totally fine. We're about to wrap up, so I can run up and handle the goobies, the fellas. What was Romeo barking at outside? Do you know? He was like right outside the window, just.
Probably hear you.
Yeah, he does do that. He thinks so. I've told you guys that Romeo will be in these spots where like he is very worried that I am like dying, and it's because he can hear me down here, and this is very imposing. But he like stands outside the window and hears me talking, or I'll like passionately yell about something, and he's like, "Oh my God, Dad's dying!" And so he'll just stand there and be like, "Dad, I'm coming to help you, Dad," and he just barks because he thinks he's helping, but it's kind of annoying, honestly, because he's loud. He's very loud. Yeah. Does she stream any games? Well, she grinds Marvel Rivals, but does not stream it.
I'm self-conscious.
It does, and I've told her like there are times where if you really enjoy a certain game, streaming it may make it not that fun anymore. You know. So if you have a game that's like your guilty pleasure, like this is my relaxation game, then you can do that. You know.
Look like I'm wearing a wrestler's uniform.
Wrestler's leotard kind of thing. Hold on. Let me send this to I want to show you guys one thing, maybe to wrap up. I sent it to you. It was the matching outfits in the High Rocks class. Yeah, here. I'll share it with my Discord thing so I can.
Not the High Rock.
Yeah, have any of you guys heard about High Rocks? Have any of you guys ever heard of what that is? It's like one of those not hippy dippy. It's like a trending fitness competition, but people go and they do it as like couples where they race together and they go in matching uniforms. I was gonna say uniforms and outfits, but yeah. Yeah, oh.
He doesn't look bad.
Honestly, kind of looks comfy.
I get it because like look at those cans.
Yeah, if I had what he's packing, I'd wear it too. Dude, I just can't even imagine trying to fit in that. I couldn't do it. But mad respect. Anyway, god damn. Yeah, exactly. Guys, I do want to know, honestly though, I pitched this to Nikki. Honest question. Jacob's in chat too. I had an idea of us doing like Gamers in the Wild streams or videos where like Jacob and I go and do something that gamers would never do. Like we force ourselves to go hiking and touch grass or like landscape. Or what I wanted to do was like, have you guys ever seen hot yoga? Like I thought it'd be funny if we went and I gotta be careful showing this because apparently there's some risque. When you search hot yoga, there's some risque videos that pop up. Shocker, should have known that. Hot yoga. Like, is this like, imagine Jacob and I going and doing this and then we like
just yoga in a sauna. You could just say yoga in a sauna.
No, I want the ones where it's like actual like they're miserable. There's a lady that's known as Quadzilla. Where is it? No, that's not. She's like a yoga instructor specifically. And her stuff makes people like collapse and have mental breakdowns. I thought that would be funny if Jacob and I did something like that and tried to do it while filming and like talking about games and stuff. So it's like, okay, Luke, if you want to talk about Bethesda from now on, you have to do it while working out. I think it'd be funny.
Just go on a hike. You won't make it up that.
Well, I think it'd be great. It's like, oh, there's a new or like if, the Black Flag remake, it's like, we're going to talk about that. So Jacob and I go and we rent like an actual boat and we talk about it on a boat. I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be really funny. So
when Luke and I decided to have children, I said, Luke, I know you're not an outdoorsy kind of guy, but we are going to have to take our kids camping and teach them about the outdoors. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. He goes, we could be outdoors during the day, but I'm not sleeping outside. So, I mean, maybe you should just go camping and bring your children.
We could go camping, but I think we'd have to tie it to something gaming related. So, like, if we were to do it, then we try to cook steaks the way like Arthur does in Red Dead 2, where we just have the buck knife on the steak on the fire, and we're like trying to cook it, which you can't actually do, by the way. Like, you're gonna burn your hand. Bro got caught lacking. Yeah, that's why you got to bring your wife on stream.
Humbled.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not a big fan of camping, honestly. I would glamp. I'll do glamping. I'm down with that, but. I only have so many days in my life, and the idea of going out and then sleeping on like rocks is just, I'm good. Like I was telling Nikki's like, I want to go get an RV and then drive across the country.
It was one of our first big fights.
Yeah.
I said I would love to live in an RV for a year.
No,
and,
you
like,
said
travel.
retire. You said retire with an RV. We sell everything, get an RV, and just drive around the country. And I was like, or
live in it for a year.
Or we sell everything and then you just go to hotels and you stay in the hotel. Like, I don't want to stay in an RV when I could stay in a hotel.
An RV is not even camping, though. That's not even camping.
Yeah, it's glamping.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather go stay in a hotel and fly where I'm going. I think it's because growing up, we moved so much and did so many road trips and stuff that for me, like, I really don't like long haul drives. Like, I'll do an early morning drive somewhere. I like the sun coming up and seeing that. But like, I do not like long haul, like, let's drive for 12 hours. You know, I don't like that. I'm good. Luke was born 85 years old. Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically. I'm with you, Luke. You will get sick of an RV really quick. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm expecting. You know, it's kind of what I'm expecting.
I just imagine sitting in the front and driving and just on the road again.
See, I think that's what it's like for an hour, and then you're like, oh, we have to stop somewhere and park because I have to pee. Or no, there's a bathroom in the RV, but I have to park somewhere to empty the bathroom vessel. Nice. I have to empty the bathroom thing somewhere, so I have to go find a place where you can park this monstrosity, and it doesn't fit in any parking lots, and so you're constantly stressed about how you're going to move it. No. I'm like, just get in a car you really like, and then go stay at a hotel or fly somewhere fancy and stay in the hotel. That's what I'm saying.
When I went to kindergarten, we lived in an RV.
I know, and now you don't have to anymore. Isn't it great?
I miss it.
Lagoon says, I'm from the UK, so long road trip for me is 2 hours to people in the US. That's probably counted as just down the road. Yeah, I remember when I used to work with somebody from the UK, she was always baffled how it was like, Jacob and I would talk to her and be like, yeah, we're going to go visit the family. I think they were living around that time in Laramie, Wyoming. So it was like an hour and 15-minute drive to go visit my family. And that was just something we would do occasionally on the weekends. Yeah, drive up Saturday morning, hang out, drive back in the evenings. And she was like bedeviled. The idea of like driving an hour and 15 minutes casually on the weekend. She's like, no, that's like you do that for holiday. Like, you don't just do that on a whim. But it's like, that's just how it is, you know? When we grew up in Texas, I remember it was like 45 minutes to go anywhere. When we lived in McKinney, it was still being built up. And so it was 45 minutes to go anywhere. And that, for some people, apparently is just insane. Yeah, Philip says, yeah, here in Texas, we measure distance in hours. Yeah, it's just different. But one funny thing, and I can leave it here. One funny thing about Cammie was that she said that her boyfriend, his dream, his like bucket list dream, mine is to go explore the Great Pyramids and go to the Valley of the Kings and everything. Her boyfriend's dream was to rent a Mustang and drive it across the US. That was his dream.
It's the American dream.
Was to rent a Mustang and then drive it all the way across the country.
You're only gonna eat KFC.
Probably, and he'd have a great time. I was like, double check how long of a drive that is, because I'm telling you, that's a big drive. But I thought it was very funny. That was like, that's his dream is to like just drive across the country. That's very funny. That's very funny. Not in this economy. Yeah, you got to get a hybrid apparently. But anyway, I said the same to a friend of mine in America that 2 hours for me is a holiday, and they were like, I've driven longer than that for a decent cup of coffee. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like just the other day, on like Saturday or whatever it was, we drove to a baby shower that was like an hour and a half away, yeah. And so we drove, did the baby shower, drove back before nap time, and did nap time, and then we like continued with our day, and it wasn't that big of a deal, you know. It's just funny. That's the most American thing I've ever heard. Yeah, to be fair. Well, Texas, I didn't know this, but we just saw it the other day. They opened one in like Loveland. This is like something new. It's apparently a Texas thing. Let me know if you're in Texas, if you've seen this. It's HTO, Texas Born and Brewed. And it's like sweet tea. But like, look at all these locations.
We're a coffee state. Get it out of here.
Like, I didn't know this was a thing, but there's like crazy numbers of these things that are just selling like super sweet teas everywhere. Honestly, it's probably a vibe. I haven't tried it yet. But there's that. The other really funny one, Utah soda shops. Because Utah is very, very Mormon, they don't do coffee. You can't do coffee. Big no-no. Caffeine's a no-no. So they have, instead of coffee shops, they have soda shops. And so it's all like fizzy, sugary sodas, but no caffeine.
This could really easily just be like an everyday thing to people watching you. For us, it's foreign.
I know. This is
For
like...
us, we're like, where's the iced coffee?
Yeah.
Where's the cold brew?
Like, we need the cold brew. Yeah, Colorado is very like, it's very like craft brew beer, IPAs and stuff, and then
Craft cold brew.
Cold brews and coffees. Yeah. But Utah is all about like sodas and stuff. It's just very funny. Anyway. I'm shocked as you both. I'm as shocked as you both. Yeah, see, I'm telling you. Look up. Utah is a crazy universe.
The margins on that, if people are going and buying those for like $6 to $8 a pop, like soda is nothing.
Yeah. Look at this. Sour Patch Kids watermelon wave. Sprite, Sour Patch Kids, watermelon syrup, watermelon puree, coconut cream. Dude, I kind of want to try this now. That looks fire.
I'm gonna be so real.
That looks awesome.
Sounds like diabetes.
Yes. That's why it sounds awesome. It's the American way. Anyway, do you think they... Jesus Christ. Okay, comment of the day. Luke, do you think they pre-soak their beans in Utah? That's a Mormon joke. If nobody gets it, Google Mormon soaking if you dare. That's freaking hilarious. Okay, everybody. Do you think gamers care about AI in GTA 6? I think the average gamer doesn't really care, but who knows what they end up doing. I don't know. Maybe there's a news story there. I'm not sure. Much love, everybody. We'll be back soon, back on Wednesday, rocking and rolling with more stuff, more coverage, more things, more random diatribes, okay? Nikki, words of wisdom before we go.
Nope.
Well put. Much love, everybody. I'll see you very, very soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. Mwah.